Yo, 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 yo.
All right. Let's All right, you ready?
Yeah.
He's gonna keep sliding forward. Jamal show, Thomas show.
Oh, dang.
All right, let's just do it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Let the Madness Begin, LTMB Live. I'm Will Gaillard.
And I'm Mike White.
Thank you, everybody, for being here on Thursday. I know we missed the last scheduled broadcast on Tuesday. You know.
Glad to be back, though.
No doubt.
Got a lot of stuff to cover, but we can't cover everything.
Can't cover everything.
There's just so much to talk about.
Yeah, there's been so many. I don't even know if we would have been able to cover everything,
even if we had
the broadcast on Tuesday.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, there's so many things that's been going on. But yeah, we're gonna make sure people can come into the stream. We're gonna give it a minute or so. What's going on Facebook? Thank you guys for being here. I know this is, well, I don't know if I know some of our viewers are sports fans, so this is the time of the year. March Madness,
the beginning of March Madness. This is the first, well, technically the first day, but it started yesterday.
The lesser matchups.
Yeah, the qualifying rounds.
The qualifier. Yeah,
we're gonna have to get some more detailed information, NDOC, about your little Jamal Charles live broadcast experience. You say you got banned on the for chatting on the live stream.
What?
Yeah, we're gonna have to chat about that at some point, about what that's about. I mean, I watch Jamal every now.
Oh, you know what? You know, I completely read that the wrong way. I thought Endo was saying that the show was banned, but he got banned for talking to other viewers.
He probably got banned for talking to other viewers in a specific kind of way, though, or about specific things. Maybe he was talking bad about your boy Jamal. I've watched Jamal's show. Yeah. I mean, for the most part, he seemed very well put together. He's logical in some cases.
Yeah.
In certain instances, I disagree with him, especially with the last thing. Like with the whole Jimmy Dore and Michael Brooks little thing, I think he was a little bit. He let his love for Jimmy kind of throw some shade on his logic a little bit. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, overall, I still like him. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, he says maybe his mods banned him.
Yeah, it probably wasn't him. Usually, you know, he doesn't have like the time to talk and do commentary and be paying attention to what everybody's saying in the chat. So,
what's up, Sandra? Thank you for being here. Marsha, Warren, Moose Gal, Nala. Yeah, good to see you too.
Yeah.
There's been a serious lapse of common sense lately. See?
Yeah, we ain't been gone for about a week.
We go a week, and there's already a lapse of common sense, man. But you know how it goes, man. But so we're gonna get into it. What's up, Gary on Facebook, Misty? So we're gonna get into it.
What up, Stevie on Facebook?
Yeah. So a few things have been going on for the past week, and the last time that we broadcasted, we talked about the what was happening in the Senate last week with the Dodd-Frank, how they wanted to roll back some rules and regulations for some mid-sized to small banks.
Yeah, they wanted to do it so the smaller banks could benefit. Yeah, so the smaller banks could do what they do.
No doubt. That was the goal.
But if that was the case, they would just focused on the smaller banks.
Narrow focus.
We also talked about the fact that there were 17 Democrats that kind of were strong proponents of this bill.
Yeah, they sure were.
And what did you say the bill was called?
I think it was Senator Elizabeth Warren was referring to it as the Bank Lobbyist Act.
The Bank Lobbyist Act. Yeah.
And I mean, look. We have our problems with Elizabeth Warren on certain things,
but this issue she is strong, and we definitely need her for this issue. Now, it doesn't erase all that other stuff. No, I'm just saying, like, if we're just talking about this issue in a vacuum,
no doubt,
she's probably the loudest voice,
no doubt. And in the Senate, I believe it was yesterday, it did pass. It passed 67 to 31. So now it goes to the House where. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I expect it to pass, even though there are some Republicans that believe that it's not going far enough, of course. It's not removing enough regulations. They want more.
They want, like, more of an opportunity to crash the economy, is what they're saying.
Yeah, because, hey, these banks are doing the right thing.
Well, I mean, it makes sense.
Let's reward them.
I mean, it makes sense. I mean, they no longer need these rules
because they're acting so good. Yeah, they're on their best behavior.
See, the economy recovered from the 2006 housing market crash and the 2018 recession, the deep recession. Yeah, so we recovered from that.
Right.
I mean, it had nothing to do with them, but we recovered from it.
Right.
And so since we recovered, we might as well just roll back those rules that caused it because, I mean, I trust them.
Of course. I mean, it's not like
I trust them to do the right thing.
It's not like they're going to engage in risky behavior again. It's not like they're going to actually screw over the country again.
I mean, it's not like they don't engage in risky behavior when there's rules. So, I mean, I think that's what's holding them back. I think that's what's holding them back from
flourishing.
Not just flourishing, like behaving with some kind of integrity. Because see, with the rules, what that did was it drew a target around. So they wanted to like violate those rules. Now that those rules are gone, they're not even going to have the inclination to break any rules.
I got it.
Or let's just say they can't be burdened with having, I guess, a conscience that breaks the rules because there are none. Yeah. So maybe it's just like
look, these are honorable people. You know, the banking industry,
Wall Street.
Yeah, honorable people that don't try to get over on their customers. Don't try to scrape as much profit as they can. They're gonna do the right thing. Yeah, they're gonna do the right thing. So again, this is something that is gonna continue for some days until we see if the House does agree to it, and if they do, we definitely know that President Trump will sign the legislation. Today, there was a devastating incident in Florida at the Florida International University, where a pedestrian bridge collapsed. This bridge had only been constructed, I believe it was Saturday. It was put up on Saturday, I believe.
Yeah, and it looked like it was one of those type of, like, they didn't build it on site. It looked like it was like prefabricated. It was one of those prefabricated joints.
Yeah, and it wasn't completed yet.
Yeah, they kind of brought it there, and it was supposed to be completed there.
Right, and I believe it was scheduled to be completed in, well, you know, I can't comment on when it was scheduled to be completed, but it was scheduled to be open for use in 2019. So still months from now. But the whole thing collapsed. It collapsed on top of cars. So, of course, there are multiple fatalities. We don't know how many, because they were trying to clean up the mess, you know, just trying to do what they can.
So they just brought the bridge, or the part of it, the main part, on Saturday.
On Saturday, man.
And so it wasn't even in use yet.
No. Nobody was driving it. Of course, it's a pedestrian bridge, but nobody was walking across it. Nobody's biking across it. It wasn't like it got
hit by anything.
No,
no high winds, no earthquake, nothing like that.
I don't believe so. It just collapsed.
Somebody getting sued.
Oh yeah,
somebody getting sued.
Yeah, it cost over $14 million this thing to be constructed. And there's already some concern over, like, some of the people that were involved, or some of the businesses that were involved with the construction of it. One company is Munilla Construction Management, and they were accused of some really shoddy work in the Fort Lauderdale area, at the Fort Lauderdale Hollywood Airport. That, you know, there was a bridge there there was a lawsuit filed 2 weeks ago where a bridge had collapsed. And then another company, which is FIG, and it's Tallahassee based, they had a bridge collapse in 2012 in Norfolk, Virginia.
Now was this bridge, I guess, meant to be used by mainly the students?
Yeah, it was to connect. I think it's Clearwater to the campus, I believe.
So even with these pending lawsuits, they still went ahead and went with these contractors. Maybe there's going to be lawsuits in multiple directions. Then.
Could be. It's a pretty big street. Like, I think there's 6 lanes of traffic, and I think what spurred on this this bridge to be constructed was. It was some time ago, a student was crossing the street and got hit by a car and got killed. But obviously that probably was not the only incident. That's one of the incidents that I saw, though. That was, one of the bases for, completing this bridge. They just wanted to make, the situation safer. But
you know what? I don't want to say I'm kind of glad, but, maybe it fallen now, like when it wasn't in use, probably lessen the amount of injuries and fatalities that would have happened if the bridge was in use and there were hundreds of people walking across it,
biking across
it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's just that, again, it was just put up on Saturday, and not about 5 days later or so. That's hard to imagine. But again, we don't know how severe the casualties are. We don't know the numbers or anything like that. So,
I wonder how much
situation.
We always talk about how shoddy our infrastructure is in the United States as a whole in general. But I wonder how much money is wasted, like, on poor construction. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
I wonder.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we can talk about how many billions of dollars it's going to cost to fix it, but like what kind of what do we have in place to see that money is not wasted, especially when we're dealing with companies that want to, like, cut corners You know what I'm saying? And
this was $14 million, man. This cost over $14 million to construct. Are they going to try to do it again, just with different companies? Because, damn, I mean, you would, like I said, it was probably a good idea. But how would the community feel about doing it again?
I don't think that should deter them from seeking another contractor to do the work. Obviously, yeah. I mean, because obviously there's certain information about these particular contractors that, like, I guess, led me to believe, or that illustrate that their operations are not on the up and up. You know what I'm saying? Especially with these pending lawsuits and whatnot. So if they get with a contractor that doesn't have that baggage, I mean, I don't see any problem with that. But me, I don't live there.
Yeah, exactly.
So you know what I'm saying? So it's not me who has to cross that bridge. So I'm just speaking about it from
far away. Yeah.
We're not having like knowing I'm not gonna have to deal with it. But you know what I'm saying?
All right. So on Tuesday, we'll get to the Pennsylvania special election. On Tuesday, there was a Pennsylvania special election in District 18, Congressional District 18, and it pitted Republican Rick Saccone with Democrat Connor Lamb. And before this election took place, I believe the polls were indicating that Saccone had a pretty, I don't know if I'd say comfortable, but I believe he had a lead going into it. And Trump, of course, he campaigned for him on Saturday, said that this should be an easy win for him because this is looked at as Trump County, because in the 2016 presidential election, Trump won this particular district by 20 points over Hillary Clinton.
So Saccone should have been like, a shoo-in.
Of course. But we understand what the Trump effect is.
What is the Trump effect, Will?
Well, the Trump effect is when President Trump is the president and he endorses a governor, a senator, somebody running for Congress.
He inserts himself into the campaign.
He does.
To try to give it more life, to try to give it juice, thinking that him being the president is going to put that candidate over the top.
Yeah,
right?
He wants the carryover effect. Like, hey, my supporters, here you go. This is who I support, so you should support them.
So technically, he's right, though. So if you're talking about a carryover effect, what is being carried over? Like, whatever that president's approval is, that's what's being carried over.
Right.
If you have a good approval rating, most likely that's going to be carried over. If you have a bad approval rating, it's going to be carried over. So I think Trump has the right idea in that he wants his influence to carry over, but maybe he is overestimating.
Well,
his influence.
He wants his 2016 support back, which he doesn't have 2016 support.
So you think like him inserting himself in these campaigns is not just to support these candidates, but to kind of like provide some sort of like sub platform for him, like another stage?
Well, sort of, but really what I'm saying is that the support that he had in 2016 is not like the support he has in 2018.
You're right, and his approval rating is
it indicates that.
Even like I think they polled people who supported him at the beginning,
right?
Like hit the support amongst those people, amongst like kind of that target group, is slipping,
right? So this election was very, very close, and it looks like as of right now that the Democrat Connor Lamb is going to win. It was both of them had 49%, but to the 10th percentage, Lamb was in the lead. Right now, I believe he's in the lead by about 500 to 600 votes at last count.
Yeah, when I last saw it, it was like 700 something.
Yeah. So there's going to be a recount. There's going to be a recount. So Lamb has already asserted himself the winner. He's already claimed victory. Saccone, of course, has not. He has not conceded. He has no plans to until I guess this recount is done.
I don't think Roy Moore has conceded yet.
Yeah, I don't think so.
That's someone else that Trump kind of tried to throw his weight behind and failed.
But before Roy Moore,
who was before
Luther Strange.
Luther Strange.
So he backed Luther Strange to defeat Roy Moore strange loss. Then he was like, oh damn, all right, I get behind Roy Moore. Roy Moore lost.
Who was there was another. Who was the other dude? Virginia
governorship. It was Ed Gillespie, I believe. Yeah, backed him too. Of course, he lost as well. So again, this it's not working.
So basically, if I was a Republican and running for any position, what could I?
Would you want Trump to come to your rally?
Would you kind of put out like some sort of memo, be like, yo, man, it'll be good if you didn't support us. Now, how would that look?
Exactly.
But he would then come out against you, but that may work out in your favor. Maybe you can like do like some like reverse psychology and be like, yo, Trump, we really don't need your support out here. So we would appreciate it if you did not co-sign our campaign or back our campaign at all. You would think, well, no, I wouldn't think. I mean, logic would probably tell them to implement some other kind of strategy like that. But of course they're not going to do that. You know they're going to embrace the president because that's always what's been done. That's always what's been done. And usually it has a pretty high success rate. But this is not a usual. No. This is unusual president.
This is unusual, yeah. So again, so it looks like the Democrat Connor Lamb is going to win.
Yeah, like the Republicans, man, they kind of funnel like $10 million.
Yeah, into this race, man. Yeah, but even with that, the Democrats they still outraised them. They still outraised the Republican campaign.
They outraised them. Like as far as like they had way more like individual donations, way more of a lesser amount as far as dollar amount average.
Now, part of the money that the Republicans used on this campaign was in one particular ad, and I don't know if anybody has seen this ad, but the attempt that was being done, all right, the attempt was being made to connect Connor Lamb to minority leader Nancy Pelosi. They were trying to tie these two at the hip, say that he's just like Nancy Pelosi. He does exactly what Nancy Pelosi wants him to do, blah, 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 blah. This got so, like, I guess that kind of attack got so severe that Connor Lamb even put out an ad in response to that saying that he does not support Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah, he said that. He said, I'm not down with Nancy Pelosi. Yeah, it doesn't make him good.
No, it doesn't make him good. But he did say that he didn't support her and that he wouldn't support her as leadership in the House. I guess if it flips.
If it flips.
Yeah. That attack, it was a ball that just kept rolling. They kept on with it. And this particular ad we're going to show you.
It's very artistic.
You think?
Very artistic.
Artistic?
Artistic. It's artsy. Very creative. Using cartoon animations as well as some
a nursery rhyme.
Some, I guess you would say some layering. Some masking. Yeah. Some images. It's pretty.
A kid voice. Hey, how can you go wrong with that?
Exactly.
How could you go wrong with that?
Everyone is like attracted to that little cute kid voice. Right. It gets people's attention. It's like, oh, yeah. You know what I'm saying? You're always on the kid side.
But this one, you'll see. I think it missed the mark. So we're gonna play it.
That's an understatement.
Nancy had a little lamb, little lamb, little lamb. Nancy had a little lamb. His views were left like hers. And everywhere that Nancy went, Nancy went, Nancy went. Everywhere that Nancy went, Connor Lamb was sure to go. He followed her liberal views, liberal views, liberal views. He followed her liberal views she brought from San Francisco.
Yo, they couldn't even make that. See if you're on Facebook.
They probably heard it though.
You heard it, but in order, y'all got to go see this ad. If you just type it in, it's on YouTube. I forgot what we typed in to look it up. But
that is
they couldn't even like
that last part.
That last part was just, first of all, didn't rhyme at all.
They try to rhyme liberal views with San Francisco.
Even if it doesn't like rhyme, if you're looking at the word, you have to phonetically make it rhyme. But
it was bad.
It was too many syllables.
Yeah.
San Francisco. I was like, bro. And I like the little boing, boing, boing sounds. I was like, whoa.
Because he follows her. Oh, and the imagery that he's a lamb because his name is Lamb. Oh,
how clever! How clever!
So this was paid for by the Republican National Congressional Committee.
No. Repeat that.
It was paid for.
It was paid for. So they paid for.
They paid for that ad. They spent money on that ad. The Republican National Congressional Committee paid for that.
If I was them, I say, nah, it was a freelance. It was a pro bono project that we gave to middle schoolers.
I mean, look,
so we didn't pay for it. I would lie because I think that I don't know if that was directly from Sacone's campaign, but it was part of that.
It was for his campaign.
For his campaign, it was probably part of that $10 million went to create that ad.
You know that.
Let me estimate how much I think of that $10 million went to create that ad. Probably about $5. Probably about $5.
Only in like, well, you know what? Because I'll say $5 just because it probably took 5 minutes. Because whoever was getting paid for that was probably making a lot more than that, but it only took 5 minutes to actually in man hours.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying?
So what you're saying is that this commercial is actually a illustration of how much money they saved, how much the money the campaign saved.
I would hope so, because we have a little bit of editing background, right? That would take 5 to 10 minutes,
if that. So yeah, so we were just trying to look for a silver lining around a very
I hope
a very shitty cloud.
They did have to find a kid.
Oh, you know what?
They have to find a kid.
You know what?
That might be the most expensive thing
to do the voice, because that didn't sound like some sort of like they edited the pitch of an adult's voice.
No, that sounded like a kid. A script.
Yo, you need to call like Child Protective Services, dog.
Oh, because they probably didn't get paid for it, and they tried to make the kid work.
Not just that.
What?
It was so whack. That's gotta be child abuse. They made that kid. They wrote those lyrics. That kid didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah, man, that was bad.
They wrote those lyrics and they say, "Hey, little girl, could you sing these? Can you sing this for us for a campaign?" I guarantee it was probably one of the kids of somebody who on the campaign.
Somebody's on the campaign. That was worse than the Ted Cruz ad that we talked about last week. The country song.
Oh yeah.
A liberal man can't run in Texas.
O'Rourke.
Yeah. But yeah, that was significantly worse. But anyway, it looks like it's all for naught because it looks like they're gonna lose the election. Now we have already seen some people in the chat saying that Connor Lamb might as well be a Republican. Yeah, he's not a progressive.
Yeah.
He's not a progressive Democrat.
We would agree with that.
He's not a progressive at all. He supports fracking. He supports the ACA, which means, well, I mean, some people will say that they support the ACA and they mean that they don't support the Republican attempt to, get rid of it, to just completely disband it, or dismantle it. But they also say that we need to make initiatives going forward. We need to go forward with universal health care. Some of them will say that, not many, but some. He's not one of those people. I don't believe he backs universal health care. As far as the gun issue, he only supports stronger background checks, whatever the hell that means. Probably means the Fix Nix bill, where he wants to incentivize these state and local officials to put relevant data inside the background check system, but he's not a proponent of universal background checks. He's not supportive of that at all.
So he doesn't necessarily follow Nancy Pelosi.
No.
But that doesn't automatically grant him some sort of progressive credentials.
Pelosi might actually be to his left.
No, I was about to say that. he's only, see, that's the thing. All he's doing is playing, he's, doing what he's supposed to do. He's playing politics. He's just distancing himself from a toxic figure. That's all he's doing.
That's all he's doing.
He's not really distancing himself, like, to me, I guess ideologically, really. He's just distancing himself, like I guess rhetorically and physically. Like, I'm not with her. I'm not with her because,
You would think that somebody that says that they don't support Nancy Pelosi, you would think that they might be a progressive. Because there's certainly progressive. There's certainly, if you have a progressive position, there's much. I get there's much. What am I trying to say, man?
What do you mean?
I guess there's much to consider when you're saying that you don't support Nancy Pelosi as a progressive.
Yeah, because I think because like, but he didn't. But did he use progressive? See, that's what I'm saying. He didn't use the word progressive. Yeah. So he's banking on the fact that, using that language. Well, I'm not with Nancy Pelosi.
He's trying to get into the warm hearts of centrist, independents, Republicans even.
Yeah, because he recognizes that at the end of this election cycle, this midterm election cycle, the Democrats may not make up that ground they lost during Obama. So he's just trying to position himself, I guess, so he can be right in the thick of things. You know what I'm saying?
Now, this is a bad look any way you look at it, though, because like we said earlier, Trump won this district by 20 points in 2016. So this was looked at as Trump County, like something that was a stronghold for a Republican that backed Trump. But as we're seeing, we keep hearing about this blue wave that's coming. And it's going to be coming towards the midterms, and it's already been coming since last year. It looks like there's more legitimacy to that argument. And I have heard one name because of this election, Biden, Joe Biden.
Yes.
Now, Joe Biden actually campaigned for Lamb in Pennsylvania. So, and there's been word throughout the last few weeks that he's kind of, thinking about running in 2020 because, he never did. He didn't run for president in 2016.
Probably because of his son.
Yeah. So he's kind of getting ideas like, hey, this might be the time. And he's a centrist Democrat, that. So, look, the Democratic Party is what we know it is. I don't have any doubt that they would back somebody like Biden. I have no doubt.
And I'm not really excited about a blue wave. Like, it may affect like I guess the lot that certain like districts have in regard to Republicans. It may affect that. It may affect their brand, but a blue wave doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be good for progressives. And I think both are going to lose out. Both sides are going to lose out. Now, lose out in different ways and for different reasons, but yeah, there might be a blue wave where the Democrats are kind of coming in swaths, swallowing up, red districts, red areas.
But then you have to think about
who those people are.
Yeah, like what Democrats are actually going to be winning, or what Democrats are the Democratic base actually backing. Like we see here in Pennsylvania, this guy is, this isn't a guy that we would support. I believe there's another candidate. There's this black woman in New Jersey who is a progressive, and she was not backed by the Democratic National Committee or the Democratic base. They supported some guy that I don't know if you remember his name, but they supported some guy that had an A rating from the NRA. Democrat. So again, yeah, blue wave does not mean anything. It doesn't mean that we're gonna get to a place where we're gonna see what we actually want in society in this country. And from what just means that there's gonna be a change in leadership.
Yeah, from what I've been observing, it seems like that blue wave has been trying to like wipe out or wash out like progressive candidates.
No doubt.
You know what I'm saying? We talked about that a couple of shows ago.
So yeah, Are they as bad as Republicans? Probably not. Doesn't mean they're not bad, though. That's why, you know, I know a lot of people choose one side. You know, a lot of people say, hey, we got to go against the Republicans. We're Democrats, right? There's some people that, because of the 2016 election, they're saying, hey, Democratic Party is bad, too. We got to get the Democrats. You know, we'll worry about the Republicans later. You can't do that either.
Yeah, you can't do that because, like, you can't just, those seats aren't just going to go away.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Somebody else is just not going to, like, somebody better is not just going to all of a sudden come along. Mm-hmm. Like, somebody, a Democrat that's more progressive is not just going to magically come along and just take that seat, you know. I just don't get that mentality. But I think it's kind of a continuation of that kind of 2016 election cycle mindset where a candidate just says, well, I'm not this, and that should be enough.
Yeah.
I'm not X.
Yep.
And so they let what they're not somehow speak for themselves rather than what they are. And so kind of like your boy Connor Lamb. You know what I'm saying?
He did it. I'm not Pelosi, right?
I'm not Pelosi. It works.
It does.
It works.
It did work.
Oh, yeah.
Seems to be. So, whatever. Another Democrat in the House, but not a Democrat we want. So anyway, that's it for the program on Facebook. Come over to YouTube to join the rest of the program. We have a lot to talk about. I believe next we're going to be talking about National Walkout Day and the NRA, gun violence, and a lawsuit the NRA filed against the state of Florida. Like I said, we have a lot to talk about. So thank you for joining us, and we'll see you on YouTube. All right. So yesterday was, hold on, let me see here. Let me just close that out. All right. So Wednesday, March 14th was National Walkout Day, where students across the country left their classrooms at 10 o'clock a.m. and usually for about 17 minutes they joined together in the protest. And the number 17 is of course for the number of people that were killed in Parkland last month. So like I said, this was all across the country. In DC, there were, speeches made. The Parkland survivors were speaking. Bernie was joining, some of the protesters in DC outside the Capitol building. So it was, like I said, for me, it was good to see these kids are not letting this go, And
there's a lot of people who seem to be very upset about it.
Of course,
these kids are, I guess pushing the needle forth in regard to the conversation, about gun violence and how do we stop it, regardless of whether their particular ideas are right. At least it's kind of stimulating the conversation. You know what I'm saying?
It's keeping that conversation going because really, what have we done since that happened? What have we done? Now, we talked about Florida a few shows ago. We talked about how Florida implemented some different ideas, raising the minimum age to 21, banning the sale or possession of bump stocks, and then implementing a 3-day waiting period as well. So they got to work, and no doubt it was because it happened in the state of Florida. They felt the most pressure to get something done. But all across the country, including in the U.S. government, nothing's been done. There's just been a lot of talk. So it seems like this incident is just like every other incident that it followed.
And it's become so toxic that you have members of our government like being, I would say, virtual bullies. When it comes to how they address these kids, you know what I'm saying? Like there was one GOP, I don't know if he's representative, what he called the what's the girl with the with the girl with the shaved head? Right.
What's her head? What's her name? Emma Gonzalez. Yeah. You're talking about Leslie Gibson. He's running for re-election, I believe, and the main house. Yeah, main house district 57, running unopposed, GOP. But yeah, he called, what did he call her?
Called her like a skinhead lesbian.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay.
Yeah, called her a skinhead lesbian because he doesn't agree with her position on gun violence, or what to do about gun violence, like what we need to do as a country. And he put that on Twitter, but then he deleted his tweets. He deleted it. And then, you know, once it got out, of course, he made his account private. And he also wrote a letter to Emma Gonzalez saying that I believe he wants them to be friends. He said, no, actually, yeah, it wasn't a letter. It was on Twitter. He said, I would like to extend to you my most sincere apology for how I addressed you. It was wrong and unacceptable. You are doing work that is important to you. I would like to extend my hand in friendship and understanding to you. Now, that is completely opposite to his first statement of you skinhead lesbian. So which one do I think is more him?
First one.
this one like, right here. I think, that's not him.
I don't know. I think people are putting way too much as far as like, you know, like I guess some of the ideas that these kids are expressing. Mm-hmm. Like, obviously, they're the ones who are at the center of this, so they're going to have the most to say. Yeah. That doesn't mean we take.
They're probably going to be the most passionate.
That doesn't mean we take everything they say and try to create legislation from it. The purpose is to listen to them. Mm-hmm. The purpose is to create legislation that has already been in the pipeline, because most of the legislation that has been talked about as a result of these mass shootings, the ideas don't come from the kids.
No, it's already been proposed before. They're not proposing any
new
ideas.
They're making it like the you know, the kids are leading the discussion as far as policy goes. Mm-hmm. The kids are leading the discussion as far as like expressing themselves, yes. But actually, as far as the policy recommendations, they've always been on the table. This is not new. They're making it sound like
they're pushing for change. They're not inventing something. We have all talked about this many times over the last decades, you know? Something needs to be done. Like what can we do? Can we do this? Can we do that? So really all they're doing is parroting the same things that many people before them have said.
Yeah, and I just don't, and me personally, I just don't like all the deflections. Mm-hmm. You know, people are issuing this, like the latest deflection I've seen is the whole, what's it called? Walk up, don't walk out.
Yeah. That actually came from a
teacher.
No, a father.
I thought it was a teacher.
No, it was a father. A father of one of the kids that got shot at Parkland, I believe.
See, and here's my problem. What happens is when we try to have a discussion, like other sensibilities and where somebody else is sensitive about some other subject somehow gets shoved in there. Mm-hmm. And for whatever reason, this father may personally have dealt with bullying himself, or his son may have been bullied. So this personal issue that, you know, he wants attention for now gets kind of incorrectly inserted into this, because to me, bullying is not an issue. Like the whole idea behind walk up, not walk out surrounds kids befriending those who are like outcasts or something, befriending those who don't have a lot of friends, befriending those who aren't popular. Kind of like that's the idea behind it. And I think it's kind of a valid approach, but by itself, I don't think it has any business in this conversation. It's to me, it's out of context when you're talking about what the subject matter is, and that is not just gun violence, but school shooters. So if you're bringing that into the conversation, and the context of the conversation surrounds school shooters, and you're talking about students, instead of walking out, walk up to people and be nicer. There's an implication there. There is a suggestion that perhaps these school shootings wouldn't have happened, and perhaps these kids that go on these, you know, mass shooting rampages, perhaps a kid could have walked up to them,
and that's the
implication.
Tactic. That's a deflection tactic where it's a good idea, like you said. You said that, yeah, it's a good idea. If you see, you know, a very, withdrawn people, depressed, walk up to them. Hey, yeah, that's a good idea. That is a good idea.
Nobody's saying that's not a bad.
Yeah, in schools and everywhere, at your job, everywhere. That's a good idea.
But in response,
in response to this, that
seems very illogical.
What you're doing is you're trying to shut down the conversation about what we should do as a society together, like what we can actually implement in our society to make our society safer.
And it kind of teeters on victim blaming too.
It does, yeah.
Because
why didn't you do this? Why didn't you actually talk to this person? This person was not even in school at the time.
That's exactly.
This person was not
also
a student.
Also, in many cases, the person that did the shooting was the bully.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So if you're making it about a bullying thing, you got to kind of be very clear on who's the bully. Also, it's not just about school shootings, because Dylan Roof shot up a church. Dylan Roof had friends. Remember, he had friends. They did interviews with them. Also, he also attended some Bible studies at the church he shot up. So that was the ultimate walk up. And it didn't work.
No.
And also, I kind of forget to mention this, but don't girls get bullied too? Girls get bullied a lot. Where are they in all these mass shootings? They're not the perpetrators. So it's definitely not the bullying. That's why the conversation doesn't make sense. And guess what? There's already campaigns for that. There's already anti-bullying rallies and anti-bullying campaigns that go on in middle school and high school and elementary school already. So it's kind of already out there. It just has an all lives matter type feel to it. Like I just don't like people specifically not just targeting the high school kids that want to walk out, but specifically targeting the high school kids from Stoneman Douglas High School. Like I've seen that too. Like how many of those kids at that school, would stand up against bullying? I'm like, first of all, you don't know what those kids do on their day-to-day basis, who or what they stand up for. Second, just because you highlight one issue, like it doesn't mean you have to like highlight every issue. If you think one issue is important, don't try to squash people from addressing that issue because maybe they don't focus on some other issue. It's just fallacious. But
now after the well, I'll kind of talk about it in a few different ways, but we've seen some reports of some students being penalized because they did actually walk out, because school policy, you can't walk out. You're supposed to be inside the school. You can't just walk out, for whatever protest. So in North Carolina, at a Northeast Carolina prep school in Tarboro, North Carolina, 16 students that walked out, they were given in-school suspensions. One student that actually walked out with them went back inside because the principal was like, hey, if you go back inside now, we won't do anything. And only one of them, actually went back inside. There was even a case in Arkansas, I believe, where I don't remember how many of them. It was a small number because this was a a really small rural county or community, and it was in the single digits of numbers of students that actually walked out. But they were given an option on what their punishment was going to be. Either they could get in-school suspension or they could get corporal punishment.
They still do that?
I didn't even know that. And actually, I don't know if all of them did, but I think a number of them, they chose the corporal punishment over in-school suspension. And there was a parent on Twitter was like, yeah, hey, well, yeah, I support him. I mean, that's what he chose. I'll be damned.
That's gangster right there.
I mean,
I'll take that. That must. I'll take it. Whatever that is, and it's usually probably some paddling or something.
Yeah, it was some kind of smacking or something like I don't know what they use or what, but I will be damned if somebody hits my child.
True that, dog. I don't care if that's the punishment.
Oh hell, no.
I don't care if that's what he chose.
Yeah, not happening. Not happening. Not happening.
It just seems as if, like I said, every time some of these situations come up, like it just seems like people employ like the same arguments, like, oh, stop all the ruckus. Basically, they're just saying, don't make me uncomfortable.
Yeah,
you see what I'm saying? Don't bring attention to it, like, because it's defying authority or whatever reason they use. It's just that people don't want to be made uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying?
I understand that schools are saying, hey, this is school policy, you can't leave. There's got to be a penalty. I understand the school policy, but I also understand that these students are trying to activate themselves in the larger good, like in the state of our nation. What are we gonna be like? What are we gonna accept as a nation? Are we gonna implement measures that actually keeps us safer? That we actually act as a responsible community and a nation. So if they have to walk out and protest, if they have to do something provocative like that, then I support them.
Exactly. And it doesn't matter what other issues they do or don't stand up for. That shouldn't inhibit them for standing up for this issue. You know what I'm saying?
Shortly after the students walked out, the NRA on Twitter, they put out a post, said, let's work together to secure our schools and stop school violence. We protect our banks, our sports stadiums, and our government buildings better than we protect our schools. That must change. And then they included some hashtags, Stop School Violence Act and Defend the Second Amendment. Now, shortly after that, they also put out another tweet. In the tweet, you know what? We don't have it, but it displayed a picture of what looks like a semi-automatic weapon, semi-automatic rifle, and it said something like, "Thanks, I'll." It said something like, "Thanks, I'll control my guns by myself," or something like that. In response to gun control, no, I'll control my guns by myself. So, yeah,
that seemed like very entitled to me. Like there's a segment, of society that I think that's where that whole like, so this is going to affect. Gun laws are going to affect law-abiding citizens thing kind of comes into play too, because they feel
that's their whole argument.
Their whole argument is it surrounds themselves like being entitled to not have to follow rules like those people. Like, why should I have to go through the red tape of registering my gun? Why should I have to go through the red tape of making sure I'm proficient, at using this gun? Why should I have to go through a background check? You know what I'm saying? It's a kind of like an entitlement and a superiority thing. I shouldn't have to like go through the same thing as those people, the criminals, or like kind of semi-criminals or people who I perceive as criminals. It's just not fair. I'm a good American. You should believe me. You should trust me because I am good. I'm on the right side. You should automatically trust me.
But the same reason
we shouldn't be held accountable at all.
But the same reason why many businesses don't allow people to carry weapons inside their places of business, that reason being that they don't know you, so of course they don't trust you. That's the same reason why these same people should go through all these different things, like background checks, registering your weapon, making sure that you're proficient with it. They don't trust you. They shouldn't trust you. Like, we understand that every human is different. There's some bad ones, there's some good ones. Even some good ones that might be led to do some bad things. It's pretty responsible as a society to implement some safeguards so that we can minimize the chaos, minimize the carnage. The NRA too. So of course we talked about Florida raising the minimum age. We just said that a few minutes ago. The NRA filed a federal lawsuit against the state of Florida contesting that. They said that because they raised the minimum age to 21, that goes against the Second Amendment. Now, I don't understand how they could win this lawsuit. I don't even understand how they would file this lawsuit with any bit of intelligence. Does the Second Amendment say anything about an age? The Second Amendment doesn't say anything about an age.
Okay, wait. If it's unconstitutional for them for like a 21-year-old. They're saying it's unconstitutional because they're not allowed to buy a firearm. If they're saying that's unconstitutional, then wouldn't it be unconstitutional to prohibit people under 18 from purchasing a firearm? Oh, that's right. Because the Second Amendment has limitations.
Yes, you can regulate every single right.
So if it's that's what I'm saying. If it's unconstitutional for to bump the age up to 21, then it's unconstitutional to have an age requirement. Period.
Why?
Because if they're okay with one age requirement,
right.
If that's not unconstitutional, how can a simple bump up to another age be unconstitutional now?
I'm not aware of them suing the federal government for the handgun limitation. You have to be 21 to purchase a handgun. Federal law.
I know it's not the same industry, but the tobacco industry and the alcohol industry, aren't there age restrictions?
Yeah.
I mean, is that, you see what I'm saying? Like,
I guess there's no amendment that's concerning it, though.
Pursuit of life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. You're taking that away from people under 21 and under 18 for tobacco products.
I think it's just ridiculous that Second Amendment protectionists, they feel like there is no limit to it. Like, and that's just stupid. It's really just asinine to actually think that way. There are limits, there are regulations that can be put on anything. And we as a nation, we as a society, we have a say in like how that goes about, like what we're gonna do to that end. Again, I have no recollection of the NRA suing the federal government over the minimum age to purchase a handgun. So why would you think you're gonna get anywhere by suing the state of Florida?
Speaking of suing the state of Florida, that's funny. That's actually funny and ironic because in opposition to federal gun laws or proposed federal gun laws, the NRA's response is always, oh, we should let states decide. We should let states decide what's good for them.
They do say that.
But, well, Florida called their bluff. And turns out they were bluffing because now they're suing the state of Florida. You know what I'm saying? Ain't that funny, man?
Yeah. States' rights. States' rights. Oh, you didn't do the right thing, so we're going to sue you.
We did have a comment directly related to the story. It was, I do think it was important to kind of take a pause and not highlight the comment. She said something about, I think it was Moose Gal, said the U.S. House passed the Stop School Violence Act. And she said, do you guys know anything about that? I did not.
No, I don't know anything
so
about it.
I did look it up. This is coming from ABC News. It says House passes first gun measure since Parkland shooting. And it says in the bipartisan vote of 407 to 10, lawmakers approved the Stop School Violence Act, which provides federal grants intended to make schools safer. 5 Democrats and 5 Republicans voted against the measure. The bill authorizes $50 million per year for grants administered by the Department of Justice to fund training and other initiatives intended to enhance school safety, and $25 million annually for physical improvements such as metal detectors, strong locks, and emergency notification and response technologies for schools to notify law enforcement and emergencies. Yo, dog, I already see. I already see the dog going gears turning, dog.
Harden schools, right?
Yeah,
you gotta harden schools because again, you don't want to do anything about guns. Let's just harden these schools.
Let's just harden schools, and that's and you mention that all the time. You mention that doing that always sets us back from actually addressing the issue.
Right. You will never actually get to the conversation, like a meaningful conversation on guns and like how to treat it as a responsible society if you just implement these security checkpoints and metal detectors and scanners.
So funny. Yeah, right. People say, I don't want to live in a world like that. I don't want to live in a world like that. But if you don't want to live in a world like that, do something
exactly
about our laws, do something about our gun laws.
Right. Also, in connection to this topic, Parkland, some video came out that showed the school resource officer, Scott Peterson, former school resource officer now. The video showed him outside of the school during the shooting. And as you recall, Scott Peterson, through his attorney, I believe, said that no, he was not a coward. He wasn't scared. What he was doing was actually taking a tactical position because he believed that the shooter might have been outside. So he took cover and, you know, was just, I guess, waiting on backup. Well, we're not going to play any of the videos. It's way too long.
Yeah, it's like 21 minutes long. No, I say,
yeah,
21 minutes long.
Yeah, it's pretty long. But you do see Peterson on video. Seems to be something's happening. The video doesn't have any sound. It's just video. But it seems like there's an incident going on. They look like they're on alert. They take little like a golf car, and they get to I guess the front of the school. I'm not sure. They get to somewhere around an entrance, and you see him outside of an entrance. He seems like he's chilling.
It's worse than I thought. It's worse than I thought. Like before the show, like if it was one of those situations where he was like looking like a straight bitch, and like with like a blankie or something, and like sucking his thumb, like,
nah, he didn't look like that.
I don't want to go inside, like hiding behind stuff, like pacing, like I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do.
Nah,
that would have still been whack.
Yeah.
But at least I know he was overcome with some sort of anxiety.
And he was conflicted.
He was like, oh gosh, like what do I do? I'm scared. Like I'm scared. Like, and if that was the case, like he was like you know, hiding behind a dumpster or a trash can or a pole, whatever.
Come on.
Come on. Think Peterson. You know what I'm saying?
That's not what he was doing though.
But he was chilling. That's like he was chilling. He was just like,
in much of the video, he's obscured. You know, his image is obscured by a pole, but you can see, like, from time to time, you can see him kind of. You see some of his body parts get in the way of the camera, so you know he's there. He doesn't seem to be doing anything. He doesn't seem to be doing anything. He's just there. I don't know if it's too far away. I didn't see a gun in his hand or anything. I don't know if it's too far away to see that or not. It didn't seem like he was doing anything. And then it was about 11 minutes into this video where more police officers showed up. I guess that was Coral Springs.
I bet you he was like,
or maybe that was the other, maybe that was Broward County.
Broward County.
Yeah, the other three that showed up.
He was probably just like, thank God y'all here, because the whole time he was like, damn, like, man, I hope somebody get here because I'm not going in there.
He's just sitting there and what makes this even less logical to me, or it doesn't make sense, is that it like, you know, he knew something was going on in the school. Okay, for him to be on alert, for him to be outside of the entrance, for other police officers to show up, you know, they knew something was going on. Somebody was in danger because something was going on in the school. Why are you at the entrance? If you were scared, or if you're taking a tactical position, the entrance is the worst place to be. Like, because you don't know what's going to come out of that building. You don't know if it's going to be a student that's unarmed. You don't know if it's going to be the attacker. So, I mean, that's probably one of the worst places to be.
He probably he was like, oh, he's still in there. Damn. Okay, where these dudes at? Where these other dudes at? Where these other cops at? Oh, damn. Should we still in there? Oh, let me just act casual. Act casual, because I can't go in.
Like I said, it's a bad look. And there were several media organizations that sued to have this video released, and there was a judge Jeffrey Levinson. He finally ruled on Monday that the Broward Sheriff's Office had to release this video, so they did.
Yeah, they filed a lawsuit or something.
Yeah, because they wanted to see the video, you know. I mean, because Sheriff Scott Israel had said that what I saw on the video was somebody that didn't do their job. That it was disgusting, and he felt it necessary to, you know, go about in an investigation, put him on paid leave or whatever, and then he resigned. Like I said, if you see the video, you'll see what
like
we're
the
talking
whole
about.
time he was aware of what was going on. He was aware of what was going on inside the school.
It's a bad look. It's a real bad look, man. Like I said, you know, at first when we talked about it, we said, yeah, that's because he's there to protect the school. You got to go in. And then we heard his own words coming from his lawyer saying that no, he thought the shooting was outside and he was just taking the tactical position. So then we were like, okay, well, I mean,
so we were
maybe,
expecting to see him like taking a tactical position. Like, yeah, we were
something. Like, you know, something.
like looking around the corner or something.
Yeah. Like scaling the wall.
Super Trooper.
Something.
Doing some like tuck and rolls, you know what I'm saying?
Unnecessary tuck
and rolls.
He didn't do any of that. Like I said, if you see the video, he is just it's a real bad look. All right, so let's move on. We talked about that. Okay. Okay, yeah. So more chaos in the Trump administration. More chaos. Man, you know what? I think it was the last show I said it seemed like it was monthly. Did I say it was monthly that there was an exit from the White House? And it's like weekly. Or did you say daily or weekly?
I think we kind of like progressed. It went from monthly. It was like, nah, weekly. It was like, nah, daily. Yeah. I think it went there. It got to that point.
It's chaos. But, you know, of course, Trump is trying to tell everybody that this is not chaos. This is just him
trying to find the right people.
Perfection.
Exactly. Perfection is not easy.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to look imperfect to become perfect.
Trial and error.
You gotta look imperfect.
That's why they're looking for the fourth communications director. They're trying to get to perfect. But anyway, Rex Tillerson is out as Secretary of State. He was fired by Trump. And I don't believe that this is a surprise to anybody because we have known that, you know, there was some kind of, you know, there were rumblings of the two of them kind of butting heads. They didn't really see eye to eye on some issues. There was reports that Tillerson some months back had called Trump a moron, but specifically like on Iran, like the Iran deal, and in negotiations with, or trying to negotiate with North Korea, looks like they had different ideas as well. So
yeah, he had a milder, more diplomatic approach to North Korea, and they kind of co-signed on that fire and fury boastfulness that like kind of Trump was I guess espousing. I guess Tillerson saw it as like not constructive, and you can tell like during the interviews that he was like, yeah, I think we should go more of a diplomatic approach. So we already bumped heads with Trump with North Korea, and he also is kind of not just a cooler head in regard to Iran with Trump. Actually, most Republicans. And what's the U.S. ambassador Nikki Haley, who are always trying to blow that deal up.
Yeah.
So you kind of, you know, he was kind of trying to maintain that Obama era deal.
Yeah, he wanted to, he wanted to go about things in a diplomatic way, and Trump was not having any of that. He cut, you know, he was trying to cut his legs out when he was trying to get something done on North Korea. So again, this is no surprise.
We're not saying that he's a good guy now.
No, we're not.
He's a fossil fuel industry baron.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Who spent a lifetime pushing product, you know, that regardless of how it affected the environment. So like in the context of the Trump administration and only.
Yeah. See, if we're talking about the Trump administration, he doesn't look that bad.
That's what I'm saying.
He doesn't look that bad.
Like, if this oil tycoon is too level-headed for the Trump campaign,
that's why he had to go.
An oil tycoon.
That's why he had to go.
Wow.
That's why he had to go, man. But so Trump has nominated now former CIA director Mike Pompeo to replace him. And he explained this as, you know, he has more familiarity with Pompeo. He didn't know Tillerson, so like I said, they didn't have time to you know, build some chemistry. Look, this is his word. These are his words. He just knows that Pompeo is pretty much on the same wavelength as him. They're gonna go about things the same way.
He says that every time he hires someone.
He does. So Mike Tillerson is out. I mean, not right. Rex Tillerson is out. Also, the one that was underneath of him, the undersecretary, his name is what's his name? I forgot his name now. I didn't have it on here.
Yeah, I forgot too. I don't know it.
I thought I had it on there. Anyway, but yeah, the Undersecretary of Public Affairs at the State Department, he was fired. And the reason that was given was because he contradicted the White House report, or the White House's explanation of how Tillerson got the news that he was fired. This undersecretary says that it was through Twitter that Tillerson found out he was fired. Now, the White House denies that. And Trump has said that Tillerson, you know, they've had talks going back months, and so this was nothing that was unexpected. So anyway, so that makes two. That makes two that are gone. So again, Pompeo is going to replace, or he's been nominated to replace Tillerson. So who's going to replace Pompeo? None other than the CIA Deputy Director, Gina Haspel. So there's some controversy with her being nominated to be the director of the CIA. It appears that her nickname is Bloody Gina. Yeah. So I believe she's been with the CIA since, I believe, 85, I think. And she worked under, you know, she was there under the Bush administration during the torture program.
It was so bad. When they were under the investigation for their torturing tactics and what tactics they use.
Right.
The CIA deleted video and they pretty much destroyed a bunch of paperwork. That's how bad it was. But we're supposed to think that these people who taken over these new positions, right? They're new positions that we're going to be involved in less war.
And I believe it was Trump that I believe he backs the practice of torture.
Oh yes,
yeah.
Waterboarding. He boasted about that during the campaign and after the campaign.
And that's what there was somebody that
torturing the family members. Remember?
That's right.
Not just the suspected terrorists, but killing and torturing their family members. And
the CIA whistleblower John Kiriakou, he's the one that blew the whistle on the torture program back in the early 2000s. He says that Gina Haspel is one of those types that just like to use force because she liked to, just like to implement torture because she liked it, not because it was really necessary, just because that they wanted to use that force that they had. They knew that it didn't work, and of course anybody with any kind of sense probably should know that torture really doesn't work, and it's going to lead to false intel. Because what is their objective? What is somebody's objective if they're being tortured?
Stop the pain.
To stop the torture, right? So of course they're going to tell you whatever you want to hear. I'm going to tell you whatever you want or need to hear so that you stop it, because I'm in pain.
I like, man. You think there's going to be like a ramp up in kind of like military activity? Because you got your girl was it Bloody what?
Bloody Gina.
Bloody Gina.
Bloody Gina, man.
And now you have Mike Pompeo as Secretary of State now, and he has a very theocratic attitude as far as how he sees the world, and how he like sees himself like practicing in his position. Like he says some crazy things. Like I think one time he said something like all Muslims are complicit in terrorism or something. he said something about like Jesus is like the way, like the only way this world can change or something. So he has like a very theocratic attitude, and he sees like,
which is
this battle on terrorism as like a, I don't know, some sort of like, I don't know, like a cosmic battle between good and evil. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, look, it looks like it's, somebody just said World War III. That's where I was going. It looks like in the Middle East, especially, there's going to be some ramping up of the chaos.
And Mike Pompeo is actually kind of has a more negative attitude towards Russia than Tillerson did. You know, I watched something on some forum with him, and he talked about Russia. Now he said like Russia like had no effect on the election, but he did say Russia did try to hack the election. So we have a former CIA director and Secretary of State that was chosen by Trump, who says that Russia is trying to hack American elections, and he even admitted that they will continue to try. So I don't know.
I'm interested in. I think that Pompeo will have no trouble getting confirmed. Now, Bloody Gina, there's already some kind of pushback, within even the Republican base. John McCain kind of threw some water on the idea. He's like, hey, well, I don't know if this is the best way to go, really.
And Mr. Bomb, Iran.
Yes.
Go ahead. No, you can't come back from that, bro.
Well, because he was tortured. He was tortured. So he doesn't like that aspect of Bloody Gina's past.
So it's more personal and not like actually.
It probably has to do with a lot of personal feelings.
That's my problem.
It's probably
just personal.
But I believe there is some kind of there is more sentiment out there too within Republicans that are like, well, I don't know if this is the way to go. But anyway, who's pushing back on that is Representative Liz Cheney. Okay, the daughter of former Vice President Cheney. The daughter of the Vice President Cheney, who was around during the torture program. She has negative things to say about John McCain because he's concerned about Bloody Gina's nomination as the head of the CIA.
That doesn't surprise me. She's always like defending her pops.
Yeah, I know. She said on Twitter, I believe this on Twitter, she said McCain was slandering CIA officers who were involved in slandering them. And she said that because of the torturing program, it saved American lives and it led us to Osama bin Laden. Now,
no, it didn't.
So the torture program saved American lives, and it led you to kill Osama bin Laden about a decade later. Are you serious? About a decade later?
Actually, it was a decade later in another administration.
Yeah. How is that connected to the torture program? This Bloody Gina too. She was like pretty much operating or heading the operation of a black site in Thailand where they, were off the books. Nobody knew about this until later, of course, where they were torturing people, suspected terrorists, whatever, trying to get information. But it was all off books, so they didn't have to follow any laws. They didn't have to have any kind of government oversight or anything like that.
Most as far as from what I have heard, that it was more like detective work that led to Osama bin Laden's whereabouts, like tracking him, and they didn't. A lot of the intel they got was not from people who were squealing.
No,
they got it through just trailing,
and even that it's still a little hard to believe though, because you're saying that the military, the budget that we have for the military, which far surpasses everybody else. Like I think the next top 10 countries combined, all of our manpower, all of our technology, we couldn't find one person for a decade. But torture back in the early 2000s, that's what did it. Yeah, right, man. Come on, man.
How's that war on terrorism going right now?
It's no different than... it's no different.
It's not.
It's absolutely no different. But what is Trump saying? Yeah, ISIS is on his heels. They're, you know...
ISIS was supposed to be on his heels like after his first month.
Yeah. But they were on their heels under Obama too, right? I mean, it's whatever. All right. Let's go to all right, yeah. So we talked about that rally for Mike Saccone in Pennsylvania that Trump was a part of. Also at that rally, so President Trump spoke at a rally for Mike Saccone on Saturday, trying to appeal to people, trying to get some more support so that he could win that special election. He didn't get that done, but anyway, later on, or some part, actually the only like the beginning part of his speech was really about Saccone, and then he started talking about other stuff. He started talking about, oh, we need to do this, we need to do this. It really had nothing to do with Saccone.
85% of it was not even about Saccone.
It was not about Saccone.
Like 85% of it.
Exactly. He's throwing out policy,
remember
initiatives,
what I told you?
And
that's why I asked you that question at the beginning.
Yeah.
About he's not just trying to give people a boost. He's trying to use these as little mini platforms for himself.
So one of the things that he talked about during this rally was drugs. He talked about opioids, talked about the opioid epidemic and what needs to be done. So again, and what we have talked about before, he expressed praise for nations that have dealt with drug dealers in a very harsh way, that have dealt with drug dealers in such a way that they have implemented death penalties for them.
I wonder if he's talking about one particular nation.
Yeah, because I believe the S is thrown on there, like nations or countries.
But I think we know.
But I don't think he meant that in a plural sense.
No, I think he had somebody in mind.
Yeah,
one country in mind.
We think that's the Philippines.
Yeah, I think that's a good guess.
Yeah,
Duterte.
Yeah, Duterte. Yeah, who has been involved with the extrajudicial killings of not only drug dealers, but drug addicts as well. And Trump has expressed praise for Duterte's methods. So at this rally, he said, I think it's a discussion we have to start thinking about. I don't know if we're ready. I don't know if this country's ready for it. So that seemed to signal that, hey, I'm throwing it out there. It's just an idea. I'm throwing it out there, though. We need to start talking about treating this problem seriously, so serious and so harshly that we may need to start killing these drug dealers. So it was today. It was today that we saw a White House proposal about the opioid epidemic and what to do about drug dealers.
And didn't he compare drug dealers to people getting shot and stabbed? Basically, he compared them to criminals who assault people who, I guess he mentioned killing or shooting and stabbing.
Yeah, because he said
he made it analogous to that. He made drug dealers analogous to people who, assault people and
he said that he said something like there could be one person killed by one person, and that person gets death penalty.
Why don't we treat it the same way?
Yeah, because this drug dealer could be responsible for thousands of deaths. And they're not getting the death penalty. We need to rethink this.
But drug dealers have a mutual agreement with a buyer. It's not like mugs are being force-fed cocaine or
take this heroin.
Or it's not like mugs get caught up in drive-by cocaine attacks.
No,
you know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Nobody's forcing the needle. Nobody's forcing you to ingest or inhale or anything. These people have an addiction. And they're trying to feed that addiction. It looks like it's by choice, right? Now, is it bad? Is a bad idea? Yeah. Are people dying because of it? Of course. You're gonna kill the drug dealer? Really? Anyway, but again, it seemed like he was just throwing it out there, like this wasn't like a firm proposal. But today, no, it's a firm proposal. So, the White House said in their plan that they're gonna call for the death penalty as an option when drug dealers are responsible or quote directly responsible for deaths in cases of opioids.
How are they going to determine whether someone is directly responsible?
Seems like that could go already now.
Seems like that is a bit too vague.
Yeah, it seems like it could be misused.
And
it seems like
exactly, it could be misused. And if they're like, is there any mention of maybe going after the supplier? That just what I'm saying. Is there any mention of that? And if you think the drug war is bad now, wait until a dealer gets pulled or stopped by a cop and knows his stuff is about to be found, and he, and let's say,
if he gets caught, he could get the death penalty.
Especially if maybe his stuff was linked to somebody's death.
That's what I'm saying. So that would make that interaction.
Like probably more volatile. He'd probably more likely to either shoot, run, or try to get away.
No doubt. This is but see, when I hear this, right, I'm thinking, okay, so the death penalty as an option for cases where there's a direct responsibility for death, right? Okay, so are we talking about doctors?
Ooh, dog, man, I'm glad you went there, man. I'm glad you went there.
Because talking about doctors too.
If we really want to cut this, like the head off the snake, why don't we start with the pharmaceutical companies?
Yeah,
because they are directly responsible for like 20,000 plus deaths a year.
Yeah, because they want the doctors that they're giving these medicines to overprescribe, right? Because it's all about profit. That's what some doctors are doing.
Some of these companies that manufacture these drugs, they intentionally withhold information and research that may show like the potential danger. Right. That's where there's always
the addiction aspect of it. Yeah.
That's why there's always lawsuits. That's why there always class action lawsuits you see all the time. It's like, have you or a family member been affected? What, you know what I'm saying? You see that all the time.
Yeah.
Why not give them the death penalty?
They're drug dealers too.
Legal.
Yeah, legal drug dealers.
They're billionaires, dog. They're billionaires.
Yeah, they're more respectable drug dealers. But the deaths are still on their hands too, right?
Directly.
Straight line. This is
too much logic, dog.
This is ridiculous, because if you really want to do something about the opioid epidemic, then go about it in a different way, maybe. How about we just talk about rehabilitation? And I just can't limit it to opioids. About every drug that's out there, because people have addictions that are not related to opioids as well, that are related to other drugs. Treat it like it's an like it's an addiction, because it is. Treat it like these people need to be rehabilitated.
Treat adults like they do crack babies, because they do the crack babies, right? In order to wean that baby off of crack, they give that baby a little synthetic version of it, and they have to wean that baby off of it over a period of time. They keep giving them less and less and less, because otherwise that baby is not strong enough to go through that withdrawal period.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
What would really
why not do that with adults too?
That's what I'm saying. Do you know what would take the drug dealers off the streets? Legalizing it. You just said how you rehabilitated that baby is by giving it to them because they're not strong enough, right? Well, I believe there's some countries. No, I don't. I believe. I'm saying I believe, but I know there are some countries that they legalize drugs, and they were even given the drugs, given clean needles 2 people.
They have like little they have like little stations, or kiosks on certain blocks where they actually, they do that.
And guess what happened to drug use? It went down. Now, of course, there's going to be somewhat of a spike right at the front because it hasn't lost its stigma. You know, it's still provocative. You know, people want to be rebels, but it's going to go down. You're going to remove the criminal aspect of it. So you're going to remove the dangerous part of drugs too, like meeting in a corner, meeting in the dark. You know, you got my money. No, you don't got my money. Or, you know, something's going to happen because we can't go to the police. You're going to remove all of that. But no, let's just kill drug dealers. That'll do it. Thankfully, it seems like even Republicans are saying, like, he's serious? That was a serious proposal? Because I saw some comments from some Republicans saying they didn't believe he was serious about it and how they don't believe that they would, you know, support something like that.
Like you said, it's kind of a ridiculous idea. It's definitely going to exacerbate the issue.
It will. In different areas too, like you said, with run-ins with law enforcement. What do they have to lose if they're going to be facing the death penalty?
You have more to lose when you're faced with the death penalty. I already don't agree with the death penalty anyway. I would agree with it less in cases involving drug dealers. You know what I'm saying? I just, like you said, the best thing to do is legalize it. Obviously, we have to maybe look into some psychological reasons, some social reasons as to why people want to go deep in their experimentation in the first place. That's definitely, you know, something we have to look at as far as like rehabilitating people and getting people back on track. You know, so as far as what their lives go. But the death penalty, dog? Because again, where will it end? It won't just end with drug dealers.
No, it's gonna be to who's connected to them.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's like it's not gonna end with drug dealers. It's gonna end with drug users. You know what I'm saying? I just don't think that's the solution. Obviously, again, we kind of have to seek more, I guess, mental health solutions, because I do think that's not just a substance abuse problem. It could connect to mental health as well. We have to kind of attack it that way.
What this would do is just further ramp up. I mean, like, it's crazy that in 2018 you want to ramp up the war on drugs. Like it's ever had a positive effect. The war on drugs has always been a waste of money, and it will do nothing because people are going to abuse drugs. You'll never completely root out the problem. Now, can you decrease the problem? Can you actually make a dent in it? I believe you can, but not by criminalizing it, not by instituting a death penalty for drug dealers, because drug dealers are going to be everywhere because there's a market for it. You created the market because you made it illegal. It seems to be common sense to me. It seems to be very, very much common sense, but we know that there's another side of it as well, and that's the incarceration of people. If you took away the criminal aspect of it, who's going to fill the jails? Because most of the people in jails are in there for, you know, drug offenses.
Yeah, you're right. You are right.
Anyway. Well, while we're talking about drugs, on Thursday, just today, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration announced that they are going to be seeking public opinion, some public input on whether to be, and they will begin, quote, to explore a product standard to lower nicotine in cigarettes to minimally or non-addictive levels. This just struck me as
the FDA is late to the party kind of feeling.
Yeah, it struck me as like wow, this is really stupid. Like, okay, so I don't drive a motorcycle. Okay, right. I've never rode a motorcycle. I think they're pretty dangerous, right? But one law that I think is so ridiculous is that you have to wear a helmet. Because I would think somebody would know, hey, let me wear a helmet. You know, it's like one of those common sense things that, like, hey, I'm unexposed here. I'm going at a high rate of speed. Anything could hit me. I could hit a rock or something like that. I could lose control. If I hit my head, it's all over. Let me put a helmet on to kind of minimize that damage. Maybe I'll make it past this event, right?
Okay.
It's like one of those like stupid laws where it's like, okay, humans should really understand. Like, it shouldn't be a law. I should just know to do that.
But obviously, based on a number of injuries and fatalities, increased insurance costs,
yes,
they had to make it a law because people are irresponsible.
Yes,
and they feel more free when they don't wear a helmet.
They do. But again, it should be something that's just common sense, right?
Okay.
So that's kind of the same feeling I got when I read this. You're telling me the Food and Drug Administration hadn't thought to decrease the amount of nicotine in cigarettes before? They're just thinking about that in 2018?
Well, like most of the initial, I guess, strategy was to get most of the chemicals out.
But we know that. Well, okay, so nicotine is the addictive element.
Correct.
So people are going to smoke cigarettes, all right? Because there's plenty of people out there that know about the health risks, that know that, 500,000 people die every year because of it. They know this information, and they say, I'm going to smoke anyway. It's dangerous, because lung cancer, all of that, emphysema. I'm still going to do it. Now, a lot of them can't get off of it because of addiction. So it's going to be dangerous no matter what, right? You're putting tar into your lungs. It's going to be dangerous. You would think that the government would say, you know what? Hey, let's make it less addictive. Oh, maybe if we make it less addictive, less people will actually use it. Oh my gosh. That's a novel idea. Why didn't we think about that sooner?
See, maybe, okay. Well, if people are going to smoke cigarettes regardless, right? They're going to kind of seek that high they get from the nicotine. I never smoked. I didn't smoke, but I had friends told me what it feel like when they smoke, and like the feeling that they get.
Stress reliever.
Yeah. If someone's addicted to nicotine, they're addicted to the levels of nicotine.
Yeah.
All right, but my thing is, if somebody wants to smoke, right, they're going to smoke enough cigarettes to get to that level. It's kind of like alcohol. If you want to drink to a certain point because you want to feel a certain way, you're going to drink that much. You're going to drink. You're going to drink that much.
But there's something to that though. Okay. So if you compare it to alcohol, I say this: if you reduce the level of alcohol, if you reduce that level in everything, right? Because some are, of course, higher proof than others. But if you reduce everything to where, like, you're gonna have to drink a lot, are you gonna be physically able to do that? No, you can't.
Yo,
you can't do it.
You know how people are.
No, you can't.
Chug a lug. Chug a lug.
Yeah,
chug a lug.
But that's like one thing. You're telling me, like, if they,
you know what's gonna happen? You know what's gonna happen?
Somebody got to drink like 5, 6, 8, 12, 20
some sort of filtering machine so they can get that alcohol and they're gonna concentrate it back. But no, for real, like I'm just thinking that it might increase the sale of cigarettes because people might want to smoke more in order to get that relief. That's all I was saying. It might actually increase the sale of cigarettes.
But then it wouldn't be financially affordable for a lot of people.
True, it would be hard. It might be harder for like people to maintain that habit.
Yeah,
but you know, people will do anything when they're addicted to something. They will cut things that you wouldn't think they could cut. You know what I'm saying? They make sacrifices.
But see, the thing is though that there are some people that are gonna do stuff that kills them all the time. We know that. But if you do decrease the amount of nicotine, I guarantee you that there will be a drop in the amount of people that smoke. There will definitely be a drop.
Okay, and it has to be across the board. The decrease in nicotine, it has to be like regulated. The amount of nicotine per cigarette
it has to be
regulated. Because if it's not, people will just go to a particular brand that offers the amount of nicotine they're looking for.
I mean, do you know how many people try to get off cigarettes each and every year? They make New Year's resolutions. I'm gonna stop smoking. They get the patch. It doesn't work. They go back to smoking. Lots and lots of people are addicted to cigarettes and they can't get off of it. And then they stop. I mean, they stop trying. They just smoke. A lot of people, they stop for a little while. They go right back to it. It's a battle because it's an addiction. If you like I said, if you remove the level of the nicotine, it is going to have a positive aspect. It's going to have a positive effect.
I think it will have a positive effect, and it's not going to be like I guess I'm looking at it not in like a zero-sum game. Like I guess it's going to be a net positive. Yeah,
it will. It definitely will. But it'll be a net negative.
Net positive with some other consequences, but there's no way you can avoid it.
No, but there would be a net negative for the tobacco industry. It's just crazy that in 2018 this hasn't happened yet. There's been campaigns,
lobbyists.
Yeah,
lobbyists. That's the holdout. Lobbyists. Because if I was
hold on. You think the tobacco industry is trying to fund campaigns and stuff?
Trying. Come on, man.
Oh man, I forgot. Stupid. Money in politics, man. We could probably say that after every single segment we do, man. Money in politics.
Because it's not going away.
Oh yeah, we forgot to talk about one guy that left the Trump administration recently too. Longtime personal aide to Donald Trump, John McEntee. He was fired, and this was just recently as well. It appears that McEntee has been under investigation by the Secret Service for some time now because of some supposed serious financial crimes. So again, he was a longtime aide to Donald Trump going back to the campaign. It was like his right-hand man, but something about his dealings, maybe with some gambling, and we don't know exactly what, but he lost his security clearance and then he had to go.
So, just all these dudes, all these people he's associated with, they all are guilty of some sort of financial crime. Multiple people
right
had to step down.
Or fire. Yep.
Because of whatever, some sort of domestic abuse issue and
That's
financial
correct.
crime.
That's correct.
They surround him. They're around him.
What are you saying, man?
I'm saying that it is highly likely that he's probably involved in some financial shenanigans himself. I'm just saying. It's highly likely. I just don't see how that's not the case for somebody who has surrounded himself with individuals who have been guilty of some financial malfeasance. Is it likely that Trump is not involved as well? Like how you have that much dirt around you and stay clean? It's not possible.
And it's not only that it's connected to you, you're bringing it into the administration too.
He's bringing it in. He's tracking it in. He's tracking
dirt,
mud, just tracking it in. So he's tracking mud into an already dirty spot.
Because this is the swamp, and he's trying to clean the swamp, but he's making it even swampier.
Yes. What he did was he's just creating his own. He's creating his own swamp. That's probably what it was.
Now this happened on Sunday. Betsy DeVos. Now we couldn't let this go because of course we were going to talk about this on Tuesday, but we didn't record on Tuesday. Betsy DeVos, the education secretary, or should I say the embattled education secretary. She had
education secretary.
The de-education secretary. She had a horrendous, embarrassing interview on CBS's 60 Minutes with Leslie Stahl just this past Sunday. In the interview, I watched the whole thing, and she's a very objectionable person. She many things that she says, I look in somewhat like I'm
astonished.
Yeah, I'm confused, astonished, like you said. I'm just perplexed at actually what's coming out of her mouth. So we're not gonna show any video clips, but we're gonna talk about some of the things that she said in this interview. Leslie Stahl was asking her about education, of course, and you know, her attempts to implement school choice all across the country. That's what she wants to do. She wants to privatize school. She wants to implement school choice, voucher programs. And Leslie Stahl was asking her, you know, how is that going to work? You know, how is that going to be beneficial? So Betsy DeVos says that in Florida, she's not from Florida, she's from Michigan, but she said in Florida, studies have shown that when you invest in the student and when you invest in school choice, letting these children pick the schools that they want to go to and take money away from public education, what ends up happening is that it's a win-win. It's a win-win because the child wins because they're going to get a better education at a better school, and with less money, the public education, whatever school it is, the public school actually tends to do better with less money. And she says that studies have shown this.
But there's a big but. Leslie Stahl was like, you know, do you have those studies? She was like, I don't have those.
No.
I have no numbers. I brought no numbers with me.
She brought no evidence.
Secretary?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Secretary of Education.
Secretary of Education.
And then Leslie Stahl.
And I didn't bring numbers with me.
No. And then Leslie Stahl kind of pivoted to Michigan because, hey, this is Michigan. You've.
That's her state.
Yeah.
She was involved.
You want to make things better in terms of education, and you've been doing that for years, right? Ever since before you were in the Trump administration. So what's happening in Michigan? Because school is really bad in Michigan. Like, there's many schools, K through 12, that are just not doing well at all. They're performing very poorly. Betsy DeVos says that there are pockets. There are certainly pockets. She used this word. She said there are pockets in Michigan where schools are doing tremendously well. But she's like, but that's not representative of the whole state. The whole state is underperforming. The whole state is doing very poorly.
But again, if she is going to use that language and mention that there is pockets, you would think that she would already have
the information.
The information regarding those pockets stored right up in here.
Like where the pockets are, what the pockets are.
This was just as bad as her confirmation hearing.
Yeah, it was.
It was just as bad.
She
when you think of what like a bad job interview is,
yeah,
this was it.
This was one of her quotes. She said, we should be funding and invested in students, not in schools, school buildings, not in institutions, not in systems. So, of course, like I said, school choice, voucher program, she wants the money to follow the student. But then, of course, that means that money is going to flow out of public schools and into charter schools and private schools. There's no kind of logic that would lead you to believe that less money is going to get you to a better result. These public schools can't afford to pay their teachers. They can't afford supplies. They can't afford upkeep of the building, the facilities. Yet they're going to somehow get better test results from their students. Like, a lot of these teachers don't even have teaching certificates. Like, what that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm perplexed that she would even come on. Like, why did you accept this interview if you were going to actually sound this ridiculous?
She thought it was going to be easier than the confirmation. She probably thought a one-on-one would be much easier because it's more comfortable than a confirmation hearing. But when you don't know shit, that doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? She's not even smart enough to prepare.
Yeah, she did
a little bit. Like, she's not only unqualified, she has pop rocks for brains. Like, it's.
She said, I have not intentionally visited schools that are underperforming. And then Leslie Stalls was like,
"Did you unintentionally?"
No, she asked you, she's like, "Well, maybe you should." And then so Betsy DeVos was like, "Yeah, well, maybe I should," with a laugh. Like, you don't even understand what's going on in Michigan. It's like Leslie Stahl is teaching you about your own state. It's like Stahl is teaching you that schools in Michigan are underperforming, but you're highlighting that there are certain pockets that are doing well, where the pockets don't represent the whole state. Like, I'm glad that those pockets are doing well, but that shouldn't be your focus.
Well, part of it have to do with her intent. We all know what her intentions are, and the other part of it has to do with she's a bad con artist. Yeah, because she's a crony capitalist who doesn't have any intention on helping people or the education system, but she's not clever enough to convince people that she's not serving them shit sandwiches. You see what I'm saying? So her intent is off. And she's a bad con artist. So she can't even sell her con well. That's why she just doesn't she doesn't present like her arguments at all.
She wants to leave. Really, what she's campaigning, or what she's signaling, is that she wants to, and I'm sure many in the Trump administration, probably Trump himself, they want to dismantle the Department of Education. They want everything to be left up to the states. Now, this would be a horrible idea. This would be a horrible idea because I remember when states did that. I mean, I wasn't alive.
Right.
But I remember there was a lot of segregation going around.
Segregation?
There was a lot of that going around. There was a lot of black communities with black schools that
they were separate but equal. Will,
they were horrible schools.
They were separate but equal though.
Didn't have good money for good books or anything like that.
Actually, currently there's some schools that don't even have heat.
Oh yeah, I know. Students are shivering, man. But this is so again. Yeah, I'm certain that there will be pockets that perform extremely well, that are flourishing. Charter schools, private schools. I'm sure, like schools in the suburbs. I'm sure there will be pockets that those schools are gonna exceed expectations. But when that's the result of you taking money out of the public education system, where like there are some students that will have to go to those schools because they are in those communities. They don't have a parent maybe to drive them to another community where a good school is.
And based on her religious background, her family's religious background, it's not just about private schools. It's about trying to force funnel people into religious based private schools because they're losing the religion battle. Right. Like, they're losing and they know it. So what better way to kind of increase your increase your numbers or to get people indoctrinated? What better way to kind of force them into institutions that kind of reinforce your beliefs, what I'm saying, with the guise of it being about education? Because that's essentially the end goal. It's not just about taking money away from public schools. It's about trying to kind of not just embolden, but kind of, increase the influence of these private Christian institutions.
I agree with what you're saying. But even knowing what her intent is doesn't even make sense. You know what I mean? It makes sense that she wants to do this, right? It makes sense that people want to dismantle the Department of Education, right? School choice, voucher programs. It makes total sense when you understand what their intent is. It makes total sense. But how many kids could actually go to these good schools?
Dude, you're asking...
You can't overpopulate them.
See, you wouldn't get an interview with Betsy DeVos either. You wouldn't get one. This is a conversation we need to have. This is a conversation that our audience needs to have, and we could have it like in a very constructive way. Yeah, because it makes sense. Yeah, she would not have that answer. she would not have an answer for that question.
Yeah,
because it's not about that.
Yeah,
because that question suggests that there is good intent and there's not good intent.
Because if you want people to have school choice and go to good schools, then you're going to be plucking them out the public school education system, putting them in. But there's a limit.
There's a limit. There's a limit. See, I don't know, man. I can't tell whether, like, and, oh yeah, after the interview, she said something like it was like a waste of time. She said, yeah, it was a waste of it was a waste of 30 minutes. I was like, oh, whose part? Our part? It was like you're head of the Department of Education. How was it a waste of your 30 minutes to do an interview where an interviewer asked questions directly related to your job as an employee of the United States of America? How was that a waste? I was like, it was a waste for us because we had to sit through that crap. You know what I'm saying? She said it was like a bunch of gotcha questions.
She, in the interview too, she said that she didn't understand why she was, like,
being subject to this.
Or like she didn't understand why she was, now referred to as like the worst education secretary ever.
Honestly, I think it's weird. I do think she's just a bit unaware, but I just can't tell whether like it's like a result of her being completely unaware of how she comes off, or if like she's consciously aware of her lack of qualifications and she just says whatever to squeak by an interview. I can't tell.
She looks really unintelligent, man. She looks like she's just not there.
She has that, like, I don't know, like that Sarah Palin-esque kind of feel to her.
It's like she's searching for answers, but they are not there. It's like,
actually, I don't even think she's searching for answers because she knows they're not there. She's not going to search for answers that she doesn't have. I don't think she has the answers.
Another segment of it, and we'll talk about this real quick, is they were talking about discrimination in the way that students are disciplined at the schools because they're reviewing it, because there's certain guidelines that were put forth during the Obama administration dealing with that, and how like punishment is different, directed at black children and white children. And so she said they're reviewing that, and they might, just go ahead and do away with it. But Leslie Stahl was trying to get it through to her that it is a problem, but no, Betsy DeVos was saying that no, well, actually, it really all boils down to like the individual child. And Stahl was like, no, but she couldn't stop her. She kept going. But no, it doesn't have to do with the individual child when you can see a clear pattern that like black students get this type of harsher treatment because of their infractions than white students for the same infractions. Like, that has nothing to do with the particular child. Like, every child is going to misbehave. Like, not every child, but many children will misbehave no matter what race, no matter where they come from.
That has to do with the social perception of how an entire group is viewed, not an individual child.
The punishment.
The individual. Go ahead. Yeah.
The punishment.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, the punishment that is given to them. That's what we should be focusing on. Every child is an individual, and we don't know, how they're going to act. But when the same kind of infractions are dealt with differently, and you can see that it looks like these black children are dealt with in a more harsh manner than white children, then that's something that we should pay attention to, and that's something that we should do something about, not remove those kind of guidelines. She's, again, a very objectionable person.
That answer illustrates kind of, I don't want to say her lack of awareness in regard to the issue, but it illustrates her lack of, like, not probably wanting to address it, because that does seem like a typical answer. Yeah, that seems like a mental trap door she jumped through.
Yep. Because just get out of this situation. I don't want to answer this.
It's about the individual child. I was like, but that wasn't the question. If you don't agree with like the assessment that has been made about punishment, that's fine.
But let's talk about
that,
and not what each individual child does, because again, doesn't matter. Like every like
the issue wasn't pertaining to an individual.
It was dealing with the same kind of infractions across the board. And I'm like, whether you're white or black, but it's dealt with in different manners. That's what we're trying to talk about. But she wants to talk about, oh, well, every child is individual. You know, there's no. Anyway, all right. So we're gonna go to the last story, and another case of police brutality. It looks like, another case of good old police brutality. So this is in where was this at? This is New Hampshire. Was this in New Hampshire?
I think so.
Yeah, I believe this is. No. This is in New Jersey.
Let's see.
Yeah, Camden, New Jersey, right?
Yeah, look it up.
Pretty sure it was in Camden, New Jersey.
Yeah, Camden. Yeah. Camden County.
Or Camden County? Oh, so it probably was. Yeah. Let's make sure we got that right. I'm not seeing a state here, man. You got a state?
Yeah, I'm not seeing a state either. Assuming, yeah, it's New Jersey. It's New Jersey. Yeah, it's Camden County because that's the only that it doesn't say it.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
It's
Okay.
it's New Jersey.
Okay, because I was looking at I saw some other content. Anyway, all right. So so this is in New Jersey. This happened back in February, so just about a month ago. 32-year-old Edward Minguella was outside of a liquor store in Camden, New Jersey. And he says that he was just speaking with a friend and he was about to turn and walk away. I guess he was going home after that. Just then, he heard the police saying, I believe, turn around or whatever. He got alerted by the police. He turned around and there was an officer that was pointing a gun at him saying, get your hands up, get your hands up. So he did that. All right. So what follows is a scene that we have the video to, and we're going to show you. And actually, there's no sound to this video, so we can kind of go through it as it happens, and you can see what happens. So this is the video. So you can see that's the guy. Right? He has his hands up. The cops are coming into him.
Looks like he's pretty calm and complying, and then an officer comes behind him and slams him down.
Now pay close attention right now to the officer and his right there. So he starts jabbing him in the head,
and it doesn't look like he's moving at all.
No,
like he's just covering. He's not even. Doesn't look like he's trying to block it directly. He's just trying to cover his face up, and you can tell he's not moving. His entire body is not moving.
So if you counted the blows too, I believe there were 12 blows that the officer struck his head 12 times.
And again, from the time that the officer walked up on him, it looked like he was complying.
Yeah,
he immediately just threw him down.
Yeah.
And like he was listening and complying and talking to the officers, and all of a sudden, cop just walks up and just slams him down on the ground.
So after that, they get him up, and he's handcuffed. They throw him into the cruiser. I say throw him. They put him into the cruiser. They probably did throw him in. But anyway, they took him to the hospital to treat his injuries. While he was there, he was released by the police. I guess after he was treated at the hospital, he was released, but he was issued 2 summons for resisting arrest and obstruction. So this guy, Minguella, the one that was being punched in the face by the officer, and the officer's name is Nicholas Romantino. He says, Minguella says that it wasn't until he got to the hospital when he found out what he was actually being accosted for. He says that the police officers told him that they were there searching for a man with a gun. I guess they got a report that somebody was in the area with a gun, and I believe the car he was next to fit the description that they were looking for. So he was right there next to a car that fit the description. They walked up to him. Hey, show me your hands. We're gonna detain you. Now, Minguella's like, okay, well, damn, well, why didn't you just search me? You could have just searched me. You didn't have to like punch me in the head 12 times. Like, you could have just searched me for the gun. Or I could have just told you, hey, I'm not the guy, or what?
So we have another story. Because remember last week we dealt with an officer who walked up or who ran up like Super Trooper.
That's right.
And stomped some joker in the head, claiming that he was searching for something.
Right.
So now we have another officer, but officers, but this one officer in particular. If the goal is to, make sure that a person doesn't have something on them, is that the proper way to find out? That tells me that that wasn't their intent, or that particular officer's intent when he walked up. If the intent, if they actually thought he had something on him, like how you go about seeing if he does have a weapon or anything like that, that doesn't seem like the way you do that. There's no way you could like mistake that for a good way or a proper way or a good logistical way just to find out whether they had or he had any kind of weapon. So that tells me that they didn't care. Their intent was to just manhandle this dude.
And he didn't he didn't know what he was being stopped for. He didn't know why he was being detained. So I can imagine he turns around, he sees a gun in his face, okay? Now it's the cops, but still, a gun is a gun. So he's on alert, he's a little scared. So when they're trying to accost him, when they're trying to detain him and put him in cuffs, I think his left arm comes out, right? That's when the officer takes him down by the neck. Now on the ground, I know you can't see his whole body. Doesn't look like he's fighting or anything like that. His arms you can see his arms out, and then when he starts getting punched in the face, that's when his arms, his hands get to here to where he's trying to block these punches. So
blocking punches is obviously resisting arrest and assault on an officer.
It's just like I can imagine that he's thinking, okay, well, hold on, why are you arresting me? Like, why are you detaining me? And they never said that. According to him, they never told him why he was being arrested or detained. So I can understand, like, he's trying to, like, hold on, man. At least tell me why you're trying to get me. They never did that. All they did was beat him to a pulp. So the 3 officers that were in the video have been put on paid administrative leave. As of right now, there's no charges on them. The charges against Minguella, now those charges are still sticking. They have not been dropped yet. So he's still facing charges of obstruction and resisting, which
I don't see the resistance anywhere.
Obstruction.
Obstructing what?
I don't know. I don't even understand. But this was actually not even going to happen. Minguella got the surveillance video, and he presented it to Internal Affairs. And he said that when, I guess the officer he was speaking to didn't seem like he was treating it very seriously until he actually saw the video. It was like, oh, okay, this is actually something. The police spokesman Dan Keeshan, last month he said the video from the scene, as shocking and disturbing as it is not who we are as a police department and does not represent our training standards or culture at the agency. Okay. So if you already made that determination, why aren't there charges being filed? If you felt comfortable enough to say that last month after seeing the video, why are these officers just on paid administrative leave? Especially the officer that was doing the punching.
Because there's no intent on holding these officers accountable. That's why. If you have enough to go forth with some sort of indictment at the cop's expense, then you should. Otherwise, you are essentially encouraging stuff like this to happen again. And you kind of are responsible for that.
So there's an internal affairs investigation. I don't know why. like seriously, what do you, when you have the video, right? How much investigating do you need to do? Seriously,
that's just another word for saying we're kicking it down the road. We're kicking the can down the road. That's what you're saying, because that's obvious.
It's very obvious.
Because when civilians commit crime, it's an open and shut case, especially if they have evidence. So why can't it be that way for members of law enforcement that assault people? And actually, I think, with the same kind of, I don't know, like, how like when a police officer gets hurt or injured or killed in a line of duty, like their life has more value.
Mm-hmm.
Their life has more value, and we kind of like we honor them even without knowing their history. They say, oh, he got injured doing something heroic, or he died doing something heroic. So he's valued. But we can't take that same mentality, I guess, into when they need to be held accountable. I wish we took that same mentality. Like, I wish they were on a pedestal when it came to that too.
Mm-hmm.
On the other end of the stick. Like, oh, you screwed up this bad, you're guilty of assault, well, you're not worthy of being in a uniform. You see what I'm saying? So let's hold you up on a pedestal and make an example out of you the same way we hold you up on a pedestal when you save the day. You know what I'm saying? When you're a hero, we exaggerate your value because you have a uniform on. So why not like exaggerate the accountability too? You know what I'm saying? It makes sense. It's you have a lot of responsibility. Why not?
I didn't even hear you because you was making too much sense. Because that much sense just it just goes past some people. Like you can't hear all that much sense. Brothers in blue, man, gotta protect them.
Brothers in blue. Oh, like what was that? Blue Lives Matter.
Blue Lives Matter,
it's like
man.
Cop racism, racist against law enforcement video. Though that shit was funny.
But what I don't know where this internal affairs investigation is going to go. Are there going to be charges? I highly doubt it, but there will be a lawsuit. Manguela hasn't filed a lawsuit against the police department yet, or the city yet. Oh, he will. No, he will. And he'll win. If it does actually go to trial, which it probably won't, because the city's always, reach some settlements. So, because they don't want this actually aired out in a court of law, especially when there's a video.
Yeah, you don't want to have to put things on record. That's the thing.
Because how could you defend it, really?
You don't want to have to put things on record.
No. Let's just pay them a settlement, make them go away, and we don't have to do anything about our officers. Our officers will keep the job, and, nothing to see here. And that's the way the story goes all the time, man. All these people that support, the brothers in blue, law enforcement, unconditionally. I always hear from certain people that, look, we don't have money for this, we don't have money for that. Entitlement spending is too much. Yet, if you go through all these cities, especially the largest cities in America,
and look at the payouts of lawsuits that the city has to cover, and if you look at the amount of assets they have seized through civil asset forfeiture,
millions and millions and millions of dollars just wasted spending because they don't actually want to hold officers accountable. All right, so we have reached that part of the program where we're gonna take some calls. If anybody wants to give us a call, if they have a question or a comment, please do so. We would love to hear from you. The number is 669-900-6833. And we have a little while to go. I don't think we're not gonna do the
after show.
Yeah, we're not gonna do the after show tonight.
After dark show tonight. So
yeah.
So we'll go a little extra for tonight for the official LTMB show live stream. So.
And actually, that might become the
norm.
The norm, because
the intent of the After Dark show was to kind of like offer more of like a loose discussion and not so formatted, talking about specific political issues. It could kind of like traverse into other things, but like the intent of that was to kind of like, I guess,
broaden the reach.
Reach out more. You know what I'm saying?
And get people to it, because at that time, at like 9:30, 10 o'clock, maybe there are some people that aren't able to make it for the live show at 7 o'clock, you know? So maybe they'll be able to catch something there. So that was the intent. But Facebook, as we have talked about before, is very difficult to manage nowadays. It's hard to get reach on Facebook, especially organically, and not even just organically, even by paying for reach, even for like paying to boost your content or to
get people to see what
exactly
you're posting.
That doesn't even work. I assume that if you're spending boatloads of money, buckets of money, I assume that it would work. But we don't have buckets of money. So, yeah, so we're going to have to figure out something else, attack it in a different way. But yeah, just doing the after dark it's not beneficial at all. Let's see, we're going through some of these comments, see if there's some questions.
That's funny.
What?
I guess we were doing the police story. Jim, go down. Jim said, a California sheriff asked me if I had crashed into a bus up the street with my undented car. Yeah, he was searching for a reason to kind of try to hem Jimmy up. You know what I'm saying? That's what I hate about it. Like they are so thirsty to try to get you on something. What they'll do is they will conflate reasonable suspicion and imagination. They conflate the two now. Now it's just their imagination equals reasonable suspicion. You know what I'm saying? Even if they can't actually ascertain or even there's nothing about your movements or anything that you have done that suggests you were involved in criminal activity, but all that is necessary for a cop to even be suspicious is their own imagination, and so you have to contend with that, and that's impossible. Or they'll be very vague, and they would be like, well, there's been robberies in the neighborhood. Oh, what did that have to do with me? There's always robberies somewhere. Exactly. There's always cars getting stolen.
Yep.
Like, you can't, that doesn't make sense. Like, if I'm not doing anything suspicious, you can't bring up some robberies that happened, a couple robberies that happened 4 months ago.
I saw, I don't know when, this might have happened last year. But it was this young black woman. I think she was 18 years old, I believe. I think she was 18. And she was saying how the police came to her and assaulted her. She's still recuperating from it, even now, months later. But the description was for the description was for like a 5'10" black male. Yeah. And this young woman is 5'2", and didn't even have the clothing on that fit the description at all.
Didn't match the description at all. Not even as far as the facial department in that description.
Yeah.
Not only the body physique,
nothing,
and the clothing, but even the facial description didn't even match.
Yeah. And then even after they ended up arresting her and putting her into the back of the cruiser, they still charged her because, in the cruiser, they thought that she was a guy because she wore her hair in what could be construed as a guy's type of hair.
Yeah, haircut.
And I'm not gonna say she didn't look like she could be a guy. I'm not gonna say that. She looked like, I mean, like maybe if you're
boyish.
Yeah, she looked boyish. But I still thought she was a female.
You could tell.
But anyway, even if they're like, I think she's a boy, whatever. In the car, they found out that she was a girl. They still charged her. They still charged her because by then the assault was done. Hey, we got to cover our asses, right? We already beat this girl up.
Got to charge her with something.
Yeah.
So we have some leverage in this case.
Exactly. And I believe those charges still stick. Yeah, those charges are still sticking. Yeah, to this day they're still sticking. I forgot what state that was in.
Thanks, Jim, for the $5. $5 Jim. Appreciate that. Jim Hayden on the super chat, giving us a 5 spot. Good looking out. Good looking out.
You know, I did see some. What was it? A few days ago, Tulsi Gabbard, she was on the floor of the House and talked about this Russian meddling. You know how if our legislators, if people in government are so, or even the citizens, regular citizens, if everybody's so concerned about maintaining the integrity of our elections, they're so concerned about Russians actually hacking our votes, then why don't we just implement paper ballots? Oh my gosh, I wish somebody had presented that proposed that before.
Yeah, she kind of took it on the chin with a lot of people.
She did. She did.
She took it on the chin because, it's not like paper ballots could, be lost or anything.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's not like paper ballots could, let's say, like have hanging chads, anything like that. Or like, it's not like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if anything, it's going to increase probably the level of error.
I don't know. It would, like, I'm more a proponent of paper ballots than I am of machines.
But why? What's your reasoning though?
Well, one, you can hack a machine.
Oh, no doubt. And I guess the ability or the vulnerability of certain machines and them not having kind of the same kind of software and the same kind of like firewall that a lot of government systems do. Like the CIA, the FBI, the Pentagon, Homeland Security.
In California, then they banned the use of dial machines.
Yeah, because they were vulnerable. We talked about that. So I can see where the issue comes, but I think maybe the solution should be to shore up those machines.
I don't know, man.
Just saying, man.
Because how would you be confident in that process?
Well, how can you be confident in a process of hand counting? Or it's not really hand counting. They put them through that little... They put them through the counter. I mean, I guess that machine is unfallible. Is it less unfallible or more infallible?
Yeah, I don't... I guess the thing about it is if you're using paper ballots to, I guess, be corrupt, I think it would take more to do it, because either you're gonna have to replace that paper with a paper of your own. I think that's the only, because you can't change anything on the paper because it's gonna be a record.
Right.
You can't just erase some pencil. You can't, get rid of the pen mark or anything. That's gonna be more difficult to do than just maybe, like I said, if you have access to the software in a machine, there's no trace of that.
I just say, well, we gotta do. We can do something. We can do something about, because right now we're using machines. For right now, there has to be something to be done to shore up the security of these machines. We're just not going to jump to paper ballots just like that. So I'm saying if that's what she wants, that's cool. But for right now, there has to be something done if she thinks that, you know, the machines are not secure, which in some cases they are. They were using machines that weren't. So we have to deal with that first.
Snork said that I'm for both paper and machine, and they must match.
Okay, that's a good idea.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Like see if the electronic.
You'd have to do double the corruption.
The electronic readout, the electronic data matches up with what we actually have on paper. That makes sense. I can get that.
And that wouldn't. I mean, as far as the voter, that wouldn't take that much more time. I mean, that wouldn't take much more time.
Nah.
Yeah, I'm all for that.
I mean, they could have it set up to where you vote and then something prints out and you confirm it.
I still would say, you know.
Oh, handwritten?
Yeah. I mean, I mean, you'd have to do something like
the
market.
problem I have with that is people might make mistakes. Like, I gotta do it electronically and I gotta do it physically. I'm just saying that's gonna open up for more mistakes. That's why I say, you know, like
mistakes on
print it out, and then have them confirm it. Like on the ballot, have a print.
Like how are you gonna confirm it?
Like check. Like you vote. Like you do electronically, and it prints out, and it has all your voting choices, and it's basically it's like a paper printout of what you just did, but it has confirmation check marks where you have to confirm.
What about signing?
Yeah, I can do that. I can say confirmed and signed.
Yeah, and sign it. Okay. Because again, that would take much more corruption to get around that.
I wouldn't put it past most to try, but it would kind of stall them a little more.
It would. Maybe there'd be a President Gore.
Stupid. Oh, interesting. CBS News article. I would probably gonna want to read about this because just recently Trump said he was gonna look into how much video games play a part into the mind of these mass shooters and people who perpetrate violence. Apparently, it says 80% of mass shooters show no interest in video games. Researcher says. Yeah, because Trump met with a video game industry representative on.
Of course he did.
I think it was last week he met with a video game industry representative.
Most guys said, "How should Americans combat poverty?" That's not something that regular Americans can combat.
Strong labor unions. Putting our energy into building back strong labor unions.
But the problem with that is that corporations fight unions.
Yeah, I know.
And they often win.
Yeah, they do often win. But I'm just saying, like, in the meantime,
like, because this is the thing about unions, right? Yeah, they can be good. Yeah, they can, get you workers' rights, rights that should be afforded to you. But reality is that people are interested in that paycheck. People are interested, like, if that paycheck is not coming, then I have a problem. I can't deal with that problem. So if it's the union not being here, but I'm getting my paycheck, I'm gonna get that paycheck. Forget the union, because a lot of people they're not gonna be able to say, okay, you know what? We can't have a union. You're gonna fire us? Okay, we're on strike. To get that type of unity?
So it boils down to essentially people coming together and demanding things as a cohesive group, and not just little small pockets of people trying to fight.
That's right.
So it require a larger percentage of Americans to get involved.
Oh yeah.
And not because we still have a large percentage of Americans that kind of still trust this whole trickle down.
That's right.
This trickle down notion.
Mm-hmm. And see, this is related to what we talk about all the time: power in numbers, right? So we know that corporations fight these unions, and there's money to be spent on that, right? They spend tons of money to fight these unions. That money wouldn't do anything if people were actually together on this agenda. They can't fight money against people. It just wouldn't work. People would win every single time, but we don't have strength in numbers, like you said. So that's why unions lose all the time, and they're not able to get into certain companies and corporations, and workers lose because they're not going to get the rights that are due to them. I think to fight for everything that we actually need in life and in this specific country, the only way we actually achieve that is together. That's the only way.
But again, we have, a lot of Americans have this mentality that connects like their personal and social value to wealth. That's another problem. Or they also connect virtue and morality to wealth too. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, this is why they trust people with money. They trust people with money. They trust the ideas that these people have, regardless of how shady it sounds, regardless of how much of con artists they are, regardless of how much they're trying to screw their person over. People just essentially bow down to people with money. So we have a problem with what we value as well. Like I said, and the reason why we can't come together and have those power in numbers is because of that. So until that attitude is repaired on a very large scale, then because everybody has that. I think it's like way worse than the American dream. Mm-hmm. Everybody is like. You saw, I mean, I don't know when it began. I think it began like in the 80s where you started seeing all these like money marketing pyramid things going on. And so they were trying to tap in to people's want to like become an instant millionaire. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of it's intriguing and it's attractive. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, hey, with a little bit of hard work and some networking, you become a millionaire too. You see this stuff all over the place. You know what I'm saying? And I guess, and I mean, it just.
You had to throw that in there.
Yeah, my bad. I had to throw that in there. So, I mean, it's like, I don't think, I guess people are looking at this land of abundance and they see something like that and they're like, oh, true that. Like, I just got to work hard and I can get there too. I can just network and I can do this work and I can just, if I do this, if I follow this plan that these people told me to and they're successful, I can be a millionaire too. I can get there. So I think people still have that pipe dream. Mm-hmm. It's almost like that. It's like the American dream on steroids, and it's just not going to come from most people. And the reason why it comes for the majority of people is because they're involved in some very shady business. You know what I'm saying?
See,
they're involved in screwing people over. They're involved in industry that doesn't care about people. That's how they, acquire these stacks on stacks on stacks of money.
In America, there is opportunity, right? Now, and I've said it before, for somebody that is innovative, works hard, there's opportunity out there. Now, the problem is there an abundance of opportunity to make it up to that top level? I don't think there's an abundance of opportunity. Because I think you always talk about that. We live in a service-based economy, right? So
most always have to be people who are providing the services.
Yeah, so most of us are going to be the workers, the worker bees, the ones that are providing that service for the entrepreneurs. So this American dream has always been a facade. It's always been as phony as it comes, because not everybody can get up there. Now, I don't have a problem with that, and I keep saying that. I don't have a problem with that. I don't think anybody would have a problem with the fact that not everybody can be millionaires. I don't think most people would have a problem with that. But where most people have a problem is that the lowest of us, or even the middle class of us now, don't have enough money to do what we need to do in life to get by, feed our families, put a roof over our family's head, insurance, just like the bare necessities plus a little bit just to actually enjoy life. Like, a lot of us don't have an opportunity to get there. So,
gonna give a shout out to, what is that?
Malicious.
Whoa, that's a name for you.
I know.
Dropping a 20 spot on us in the super chat. We really appreciate that. Thanks a lot. We know that,
There was one other contributor too.
Yeah,
Warren Fry.
Warren Fry.
Thank you, Warren.
Thanks for that. He dropped a 5 spot. Appreciate that. It's much appreciated because, people work hard for their money, man.
Mm-hmm. What do we think about Amy Goodman and Democracy Now? I don't have a problem with it. I mean, sometimes I watch it.
Yeah, it's been a while since I, tuned in.
I wouldn't say I watch it regularly or even weekly or probably even not monthly. I mean, I see some clips.
I peek in every now and then, but that's not really something I guess look at on a very continuous basis. You know what I'm saying, or a consistent basis. No, I mean, she does some good stories.
Yeah, she does.
She does. She does some good stories.
She often tackles a lot of issues that you definitely wouldn't see on CNN or MSNBC.
I've heard she's controlled opposition, blah blah blah, and people have an issue with maybe a couple of places she takes some money from, but I mean, for the most part, she's good. But like I said, I don't really pay attention to her that much, so.
She reports from Puerto Rico?
Live. Damn, didn't know that.
Oh yeah, well, today, and we should have connected this, but today, I believe the Mueller investigation revealed that they're now going to be seeking some records from the Trump organization.
Wait, Trump organization or like the charity?
Like the whole Trump organization or whatever. Damn. Financial records.
See, this is
so
why,
it's getting close to home now.
This is why the intelligence, but the Senate Intelligence Committee,
the House Intelligence
Committee. This is why they want to wrap this thing up.
Oh yeah.
They said this Mueller should end it right now because we don't see anything. But I'm just like, wait a second. The chair of this committee was part of Trump's transition team. So wouldn't that kind of mean that there was some sort of bias or a conflict of interest there? You see what I'm saying?
Some type of motivation.
Regardless of what you think, and just regardless of what you think, and that's whether you think there's something or not, you don't. You know what I'm saying? You have to consider the chair of the House Intelligence Committee was a part of Trump's transition team. So he would, the appearances of it. It appears as if there's some sort of conflict of interest.
Yeah, he should not be anywhere near this.
He shouldn't. So it does make it look suspect, regardless of what side.
Was this going to end any other way? Of course, we're not on the committee, but if there is actually anything there, would they have actually said so? You can't honestly say that they would, because again, his position is notable. But anyway, look, investigation's still going. We don't know what it's, again, we keep saying we don't know what it's going to furnish, if it's going to furnish anything at all. But I think earlier on you said all these people connected to Trump, bringing in all the dirt into the administration.
But somehow he's clean.
Somehow he's clean.
You know what I'm saying? Not just bring it there. I mean, even his family. You know what I'm saying? With Kushner and his father's connection to fraud. Like, it's crazy. Moose Gal apparently has a birthday on Monday.
Oh, that's right.
Of course, the Tuesday is the Illinois primary. She's asking if we'll be covering the results.
Yes, we will.
We will.
Illinois primary. So that means Lipinski and Marie Newman.
We covered a little bit of that
for the 3rd district. Yeah.
Well, since we won't be on till Tuesday, happy birthday.
Yeah. Shout out to Moose Gal.
Happy birthday to ya. Because we will not be on until Tuesday. So
today, also Trump said that it, quote, certainly looks, end quote, as if Moscow was behind the poisoning of the ex-Russian spy in the UK. That spy, or the ex-spy, Sergei Skripal and his daughter Yulia, they were poisoned with a substance known as Novichok, some kind of poison, and it was developed by the Soviet Union in the final years of the Cold War. Now, Russia has said that, of course, look, this is just the left being the, well, not the left, but the West being the West, you know, like, and just trying to blame Russia for everything. They had nothing to do with it. But the UK seems to believe that they did. Theresa May, the prime minister, yesterday she announced that they were expelling 23 Russian diplomats, and they believe that they are Russian spies. And the nations of France, Germany, United States, and the United Kingdom all authored a letter. And the government said, we, the leaders of France, Germany, United States, and the United Kingdom, abhor the attack that took place against Sergei and Yulia Skripal in Salisbury, UK on 4 March 2018. But it looks like, you know, I don't know if Trump is not being made to, but it's like
he's being put in the position
where he has to take
address,
a position against Russia. I don't know.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. And we're not making a determination on if Russia is actually behind this attack or not. It's likely. I would say it's pretty likely. I don't know. Like I said, it was the poison was developed by the Soviet Union. It certainly points to them. Now, was this a governmental attack? Again, there's no way that we would know anything about that right now. But I will say this about it: if Russia actually is behind it, man, are they stupid? I mean, this whole Russian investigation will not stop. And if you did this like during all of this, I mean, it wasn't too long ago that you annexed Crimea, right? Crimea, that's right. Yeah, wasn't too long ago that you went in and just took it. It's just like, man.
Basically, what you're saying is, in a world full of bad guys, don't side with one set of bad guys.
Yeah.
Like, simply because we act like the bad guys, which we do, doesn't all of a sudden exempt all those other bad guys for the things that they do.
Right.
Like, we can address all the bad guys at the same time, no matter how bad they are, what level of bad.
Because if they're bad guys, then it's easy to be anti-bad guy.
It's easy to be anti-bad guy. Like I said, like a year ago, probably over a year ago, all pirates are not on the same team. There are multiple pirate ships.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like pirates fight each other. You know what I'm saying? Simply because we're the biggest, baddest pirates doesn't mean we can't criticize other smaller pirates. They're still damn pirates. It doesn't mean I'm in support of the big bad pirate, that's us, simply because I want to point out the piracy of other presidents in other countries. It doesn't mean we are kind of on the Russia gate train,
right?
But like simply because America wants to influence other people's elections and influence, how, influence how other countries engage their politics.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true. But again, it doesn't mean that somehow Russia is some sort of innocent bystander in all this. Like, I hate how people are treating it like this. Yes, they're kind of being maybe overly and maybe even falsely targeted for trying to infiltrate,
Yeah, they're being scapegoated for that.
They're being scapegoated. That does not mean they're innocent. That's all.
Terabyte said the formula for that poison was published in a book some time ago. So I mean, that's
again, that's why I think it's so loose. You can sit there and say, well, the chemical was developed in so and so country. Yeah, how does that automatically mean that country was responsible for it? As if nobody else get a hold of that recipe? Can nobody else get a hold of that chemical?
And even if it did come from Russia, did it come from the government though?
Yeah,
you have to tie that together.
Exactly. Simply because it was from Russia doesn't mean it was like done by the government.
Yeah, it was sanctioned.
It was sanctioned by the government.
Yeah.
Like we can get together right now and devise some sort of plot to poison or bomb somebody. Just because we are United States citizens doesn't mean that the United States government sanctioned our actions. So,
he also said it's more likely that the CIA and the British created this as a false flag.
Could be.
It could be.
Could be. I wouldn't put it past them. I wouldn't put it past them. I can't.
But then, I don't know, that may sound like it's plausible too. I mean, of course it's plausible. I don't know what the end goal to that would be though, because you're not rushing into Russia. I mean, you're not you're not attacking Russia. You're not. I don't, like I said, I don't know what would the end goal be to that. To create more public animosity towards Russia.
Yeah. I can see that. Again, it's all a game. It's all a game that everyone is playing.
Yeah.
Putin plays that game. We play that game.
Yeah.
Let's just not absolve Putin when he does play that same game. That's all I'm saying. Yes, of course we play that game where we kind of put things out there and possibly stage events to create a perception of about a leader. But they all do it. They all do it.
Mm-hmm. Moose Guy said there's a new poll shows Lipinski with 43% of the vote and Newman with 41%. I would be very surprised if that was accurate. I would be very surprised. I would be very surprised, man.
Why?
Because remember when we covered it, we talked about the Nazi that was running in that district.
Yeah.
And how Republicans were like, well, we're not voting for that dude.
We have to run. Yeah. So we have to run.
Well, no, I'm talking about just the Republican voters. We're like, we're not voting for that dude. So who do we vote? We want to vote. So it seems like logic would tell you that they would vote for the centrist dude, Lipinski, the conservative Democrat, and not the progressive Democrat, Marie Newman. So if that's within the error margin too, if it's only a 2% difference, I would be very, very surprised at that. But that would be encouraging though. That would be encouraging. Because Lipinski has held that he's held that position since I want to say 2000. I can't be sure of that. I can't be sure. You know what? Let me just look it up real quick. No, since 2005. Yeah, I mean that's what, 6 different re-elections, maybe something like that. That's Yeah. There was a poll about a week ago. Yep. That said he held just a slim 2-point lead over Newman. That's amazing to me. If she actually has a chance at beating this guy, man. I know the Democrats are spending money against her. Shoot, the Republicans are probably spending money against her because they would probably want. Of course, they want to see Lipinski win because I don't even think they didn't put anybody fourth. As far as I know, they didn't put anybody fourth. The damn Nazi is running as a Republican. I want to see what he's I want to see what he's getting. The damn Nazi, man. I forgot his name. You remember his name? Jones. Arthur Jones. They don't even mention this guy. Maybe he's not even polling anything. To the poll. Is that it? No. Whatever. Well, he's not winning anyways. Yeah. Newman said that the district's becoming more liberal. The country's becoming more liberal.
Yeah, it's becoming more liberal.
Of course. So it's going to hit these different communities because the whole country is going that way. She said she would be shocked if Newman didn't win. Like I said, I don't live in Illinois, so we can't, we can't know what the ground is over there. But from here, I'd be shocked if she did win.
Looks like another one bites the dust. But this kind of was like boiling for like a couple weeks.
So McMaster might be on his way out as National Security Advisor. I wonder if this administration is actually going to get any kind of continuity,
No, don't think so. He still got a bunch of cabinet positions still open.
Yeah, see, that's it right there. Yeah. Mueller subpoenas Trump organization documents. Because I think it was sometime I think it was last year where Trump said that he said something about a red line, like if the investigation was coming after him personally, like if it was coming after maybe his financial records or something like that.
Yeah,
like that would be too far.
Yeah, he pretty much said that's too far.
Yeah,
but if you have nothing to hide, then you know, if you have nothing to hide, then why would you be like anxious about that? If anything, you would be encouraged about that, because if you have nothing to hide, that would show that you are not guilty.
Well, we know this is the same man that didn't want to release his tax records. Yeah. You know, even though he had nothing to hide. Well, we talked about at the beginning of the show with the pedestrian bridge that collapsed in Florida at Florida International University. It seems like at least 4 were killed. 9 other people were taken to hospitals. That's awful, man. I mean, that's like, I think it's like like over 800 tons of material, man. That's you're done, man. That falls on you. That's it.
So it says it wasn't a Florida Department of Transportation project. So it was a university project.
Yeah, local agency project.
Yeah, so yeah, it was a Florida International University contracted to work out.
Yeah, see, the same thing. Yeah, Rubio was talking about that student that lost his life crossing the road last year. I think that was probably the nudge to get that bridge done. Probably had been discussing it for some time, and that's what pushed them to do it. I wonder. I mean, it's amazing that happened. I mean, I just wonder how something like that can happen. You know, because it was constructed not on site. It wasn't constructed. I don't know what more needed to be completed about it. Like what more they needed to do, but the way it looks like it collapsed, it looks like it just fell center in.
It's not look like it didn't like. I don't know. It didn't like crumble.
Yeah. So that it seems like that has to do with all about the the original construction of it, not like what they needed to do on site.
I guess I guess more will be revealed when they kind of investigate. So.
Oh yeah. All right. So Moose talking about March Madness picks, man. I guess who you got? Who you got for the championship, man?
North Carolina's peaking. Arizona is peaking. I like Arizona, North Carolina, Villanova. Never pick Duke ever.
Nah, hell no.
I don't care how good they are. I would never pick them.
Hell no.
Virginia's playing well.
Yeah, you listing teams. Who's your team?
I don't got a team in there.
No, forget your team. I'm talking about who you think gonna take it home. You fill out any brackets?
Nope, I didn't do it this year.
I did.
I didn't do it this year, man.
I only got 2 brackets though, man. But I got the same champion in both brackets.
I don't think Michigan State's gonna get there. Who's got Michigan State? I was like, nah.
I got Michigan State in the championship game. I got them in the championship game because I think their road is
easy.
Yeah, I don't think it's that difficult. I can see them getting to the championship game, but I got them losing to VA. VA, man, they have not. The most points they have allowed all season is like 50 something, man.
Defense. That's what I'm saying. You always trust. That's why I picked. That's one of my teams, but it's like my team ain't in there.
I think they're gonna. Yeah, I think VA is gonna do it. When you can keep every single team you face to under 60 points, man. Nah, that's a juggernaut right there, man. Yeah, Grandma Christine saying the materials not regulated, maybe. The materials they used. I don't know, man. It had to be something. Aaron said, I think sabotage.
You never know.
I don't, yeah. But damn, that would be a cruel. I mean, that'd be to sabotage a bridge, man.
Trying to figure out which one of these teams is going to make one of those like unpredicted runs.
I think, this is around the time. Let me see. Yeah. See, throughout the year, if you ever search Let the Madness Begin on YouTube, I mean, not on YouTube, but on Google, we're always like at the top, right? There's a song too, of course, Let the Madness Begin by like Fozzy. That's always the first song that comes up.
Yeah, because it's Google.
Yeah.
Google's going to promote you.
Yeah. But we're always at the top. And we're still there, but in like top stories, like it's always about March Madness.
Let the Madness begin.
Yeah.
Reference to March.
Around March is always about basketball.
I was like, is there any team that I could see that's going to make a deep run that could beat Duke? I could see.
Beat Duke?
Yeah, no, in like their bracket.
Oh,
in their
yeah,
bracket.
yeah.
I say Purdue.
Yeah, Purdue could beat them.
I'm talking about like, yeah, Purdue.
Purdue is good, man.
Purdue is nasty. I can definitely see Purdue. Auburn is a 4th seed in that bracket.
Auburn is very good, man.
They're good. If they peak, then yeah, they could beat anybody.
Oh, what? Hold up. Oh, okay. No. I didn't read the junior part.
What?
Trump Jr. and his wife are separated.
Oh, yeah, I saw that earlier. Well, looks like that's going to be dangerous for actually Trump himself because, I don't know, like, there's going to be... Well, I'm just saying, man, Mueller might be making another call. Mueller, sorry, she said Mueller. Mueller might be, Mueller might wait for that, divorce to kind of pan out and call your girl up. You know what I'm saying? Because that spousal privilege ain't gonna exist anymore.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
And it's a divorce, so I'm pretty sure it's not. It's not like it's not cordial.
Oh, you probably
it's not cordial. No. Not dealing with this family.
No,
she gonna spill the beans.
There's
Jeremiah,
yeah.
Jeremiah with the 5 spot. Appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Appreciate that, Jeremiah. Always supportive, man.
Guess we get no calls. Power plant blew up in Texas.
Yeah, Jay Work said, I find it hard to believe that an engineer would knowingly do something that would risk people's lives, but who knows? Yeah, I mean, who knows, man? It just, I don't know that we've seen something like that before, where a bridge like just goes up and then days later is down. I can't recall anything like that happening before. Like the bridges that two of these, with the two of these companies that are connected to the construction of this bridge, they were involved in other bridges that had, you know, had some problems that collapsed, but I don't believe it wasn't anything like that was like a week or, you know, weeks later or anything like that. Like, these bridges have been around for some time. That's just weird, man. That's something that you would never expect. You put it up and then days later, man, not even a week later, it's down. Killed 4 people. Yeah, Vicky online saying there would have to be many systems at fault for the bridge to have failed so quickly after its construction.
Yeah, no, after they just kind of erected it on Saturday.
All right, I think that's all we got, man. It's a little bit past 10, and we're gonna I think do it like this from now on, because usually, like what he was saying earlier, when we get on to After Dark, we talk about some light stuff, and but yeah, if people have different topics that they want to talk about, call in. If we have any stories that, you know, we didn't have to talk about in depth, we could just do it after the show like this. Melissa said too about the looking to Twitch TV as a platform.
I saw that.
Yeah. See, I know, but have you ever watched Twitch before?
I've never watched it.
I've watched it a few times, but usually it's always been known as a game platform to watch people play games. I didn't know that they had talk show category. I didn't know that. Yeah, so that might be something.
We'll look into that.
Yeah, we could look into that
once we start multi-streaming.
True. Yeah. Because again, Facebook, man, is what, there was, how many people were in the 3 people? It's just, man, look, there's no, I don't, no matter what, when you have almost 70,000 subscribers on your page, there's no way only 3 people
can see that you're live.
That doesn't even make any sense. There's no way that makes any type of sense whatsoever. So obviously something is happening with Facebook, and you know, even putting out the simplest ads, you know, trying to, like I said, increase the reach. It takes them days to approve the ad for some reason.
From really flaky reasons.
Yeah, too. Like just some nothing controversial. The same beginning that we do, the intro to the show that we do, just boosting that on Facebook is like, we got to take like a week to, you know, kind of look at this 30-second spot and see if we're gonna approve this. So we're gonna pack this up.
Yeah, we're gonna pack this up, and we'll have to see y'all next Tuesday, where we'll definitely be talking about that Illinois race. In addition to some other things and other topics.
Yeah, because we did have some other things.
Yeah, we have some other things we wanted to cover, but
the what was that in California with the raid?
Yeah, the raid.
Yeah, the
ice raid.
The ice raid. Yeah, we're gonna talk about that one. Definitely have to talk about that one.
There's a lot of meat in there.
Yeah. And then also, what was it, a sheriff?
A sheriff. Yes. Sheriff got his ex-wife arrested for a Facebook post.
No, I ain't even talking about that sheriff.
Damn.
I'm talking about the other
sheriff
one
who pocketed that money.
Yeah. I'm talking about that one.
Who bought himself a house. So we got 2 sheriffs to talk about.
Yeah, I'm talking about that one right there, man. What's $750,000?
$750,000.
Yeah, okay. We'll dive into that. You still ain't seen Black Panther, have you?
Nope.
Damn it, you need to.
Yeah, I know, man. Keep on putting it off.
All right, but appreciate everybody that's been here, all the support that you always give us. We're gonna do our thing to keep broadening this stream out, you know, to increase the reach. And we appreciate all the help that you can give us on that front. again, I think we just gotta look at this in different ways, because the same way we were doing this in 2016 does not work now.
Yep.
So we gotta figure out a different way to get the attention of people. Facebook is just not gonna be it.
Nope.
It's not gonna be it. And really, YouTube is not gonna be it either. Because you would think, I mean, because when we first started putting our videos on YouTube, of course, it was always a steady climb.
Yeah.
Always a steady climb. And there's no climb.
Nope.
There's no climb. There's no nothing. So I think all of us know political speech right now, man. These platforms, I don't think they want to be supportive of that. So again, we're gonna have to just come up with different ways to get the attention of people. So anyway, we're gonna get out of here. Hope that everybody has a very good weekend. And they'll say you need direct email this.
True that.
That's true.
True. True.
You know what we need to do is employ the use of our website.
True that. True that. And then just kind of like promote that.
Yeah. And even through that, like you can capture people's emails. You can add, there's a pop up, hey, get on the mailing list or something like that. I'm glad you said that, Endo, because I remember thinking about that some time ago. But yeah, we just got to do different things. But yeah, we haven't updated that website in
a year.
It's been a long while, man. It's been a long while. First Scorpio. What's up with that? I haven't seen First Scorpio on here before, have you? Have you seen?
Yeah. They've been there before.
Maybe?
They
okay.
have, yeah.
Thank you for being here.
They've been up in the chat too tonight a lot. Okay. Earlier though.
That was the first I've seen, I think. Okay, right there.
Yeah.
All right, okay.
Yeah, they up in here all the time.
All right. Well, if you like sports, hope you have a good weekend watching some March Madness.
March Madness. And we will see y'all on Tuesday night sharp,
That's
7
right.
p.m.
And we will be here.
Yes, we will.
Yeah. I think we've missed, what, 3 shows now?
2 or 3.
I think we missed 2 or 3 shows. I think that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty good. Oh yeah, I'm a coach now. I'm a coach.
Soccer coach.
I'm a soccer coach. See, our background is basketball, but I'm a soccer coach because
you brought it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm brought. Yeah, I'm doing.
Out,
yeah, man. Soccer. I know a little bit. About some soccer.
Tiny bit. Enough to coach little kids.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I can do that. Yeah, I can do that. It's very interesting. These kids don't listen.
No.
These kids do not listen, man.
Direction.
I got kind of me. They were talking, and there was like at least 2 or 3 of them that just, man, you can't get their attention. I was like, yo, it was cold outside too. I was like, look, we can be out here all night, huh? If I don't hear some silence, we ain't doing nothing. Everybody be quiet. That was it, man. Kind of like this. Anyway, all right, so we're gonna get out of here. Everybody have a good weekend, and we'll see you on Tuesday. Peace out, everybody.